Welcome to the American Idiots Podcast with Money Mike Carnahan, Tropic Thunder Tolly Brim, Pretty Boy Sean Castleberry, the Manic Hispanic, and Shiloh, where we look at all the divisive headlines in our country and we present both sides of the argument. It's the American Idiots Podcast, and it begins right now. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another wonderful episode of the American Idiot Show. I am Michael Carnahan, and Sean Castleberry is in double view here of my screen, and I just saw him do a costume change already 10 seconds into the show. But we got another great show here. As you see, Mike Tomlin over my shoulder there. NFL football is back. We're going to talk about that. We're going to give an update on Hurricane Sally, which has now been upgraded to a Category 2, along with a bunch of other stuff, including some memories of what happened or where we were on 9/11 and so a bunch of other stuff. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring on my co-host, the Manic Hispanic. Manic Hispanic, how are you doing this week?
Doing wonderful.
You look like I caught you off guard, like I caught you with something in your mouth there, like, oh shit, I'm chewing.
Yes, sir. Trying to clear my my jowls of any food.
Well, definitely I am glad. You know, the only person advance warning is Sean because we play the song. I'm going to stop playing that man's song for him, but we'll go ahead and give him one more for the road. California. Okay, that's enough of that shit. What's up, Sean?
Hey, how's it going, man?
Hey, don't diss Tupac.
Hey, I can't diss Tupac. I mean, yesterday, I didn't even realize till I was looking at Facebook that yesterday was the anniversary of his death.
Yes,
absolutely,
it is.
Absolutely.
What I do see is another white person trying to capitalize off black people.
Sean, shame on you. Ooh, he hits you right there. That landed right on the jaw.
Pac, man. No, I love Pac, man. I always have. He was a poetic genius up until he got shot, and then he kind of lost it a little bit those last couple of years. But you know, he was something else. I wish we had another, that could be almost as good as him. No one will ever be as good as how he was when he first came out.
No, not at all. I mean, that man, like you said, was lyrically just a step above. So, like I said, we got a lot to get to. Tolly will be along in a little bit, as will Fox. They're getting a little bit of a late start. But let's go ahead and talk about 9/11, and we actually...
Oh, you forgot to add my other camera. I need two cameras now because I'm a diva.
God, he needs two cameers now, and they're the same angle.
Yeah.
They're the same angle.
Well, I'm going to
like, literally looking exactly the same.
There we go. That's a lot better. There we go.
Okay. Can you believe these demands that this man is making?
That's right.
I will say your microphone is better on the computer than the phone.
Okay, really? So what we'll do is we'll mute the microphone on that one, and there we go. Try to talk now.
All right. Did you fix it?
Yep. Fixed it. Switched it over.
Right. And now,
now
you can look up the nose.
Apparently somebody's kids need to get in their house. But with that being said, 19 years ago, this past Friday, one of the most tragic days in our country's history occurred with September 11th, and we're going to go ahead and play the story of how New York celebrated or remembered 9/11 this year.
Right.
The chiming of bells and moments of silence. Somber tributes that have become tradition.
This is healing, and to me there's strength in numbers, and when you realize that you're not alone in it, it's a comfort.
But on a day where one tragedy is being remembered in the midst of another, there were changes. Mask required, hand sanitizer stations, no central stage.
Antonio Jose Rodriguez.
And a pre-recorded reading of names by family members broadcast in the plaza. Loved ones present, but socially distanced. Some family members unhappy with that change attended an alternate ceremony nearby. But Noreen Quinn, who lost her 23-year-old son Jimmy 19 years ago today, said she understands the need for the restrictions and would never miss a year.
This is where we need to be today. I must be where I lost my son. I must be where my son died today.
Vice President Mike Pence and Joe Biden both attended the ceremony, greeting with a forearm bump. Biden stopping to console 90-year-old Maria Fisher, who handed him a photo of her son she lost on 9/11.
Never goes away.
That before traveling to Shanksville, Pennsylvania, where he spoke to family members of those who died on Flight 93. President Trump also paid tribute in Shanksville today, focusing on honoring first responders and sharing a message of unity.
No matter the threat, no matter the odds, America will always rise up, stand tall, and fight back.
Commemorations were scaled back at the Pentagon, too. Not even family members could attend the ceremony. But even in a year where so many are suffering, today the nation kept its promise to never forget. Rahema Ellis, NBC News, New York.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here, and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.
So, I mean, definitely 19 years later, something to remember. Obviously, a little bit of a different situation this year with the COVID restrictions and all that stuff. First off, what do you guys think of the ceremonies this year? I noticed that there was a little bit of a brouhaha, they said, about some people not wanting to adhere to the social distancing or the mask guidelines, what have you, and, want to remember in their own way, so they had their own space off in another area.
Right. There was many that I heard that didn't attend that usually attend because of the whole COVID issue.
Right.
I was very happy to say that Alex Jones wasn't there. Very happy.
Yeah, I mean, Alex Jones is one person that probably needs to stay away from anything memorial-ish. That dude's certifiably fucking insane.
Every year he shows up, he does the 9/11 truther
shit.
Yeah.
And he's so aggressive about what he does, legitimately, like, so fucking aggressive. And, like, he's so in your face and, no, you're wrong, I'm Alex Jones, I gotta go!
Gay frogs! Gay frogs!
But, Antonio, tell me a little bit about 9/11 for you. Where were you when you first heard about the terrible attacks on our country that day?
I was actually woken up. I worked second shift, so I got off at midnight. Went home, spent a couple of hours watching TV. Got to bed around 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. So I was actually asleep when it started. I got a call from my my ex now, but wife at the time, who let me know what was going on when the first plane had hit. So I got to see the second plane hit, and it was just, it was really surreal.
It really was. I remember, I guess I'm the youngest, definitely not the youngest looking, but I'm the youngest one on our panel here. But I was in 6th grade. I was at Sylvan Hills, and I remember the one thing that stands out that I still laugh about kind of in my mind is that when a woman running in and yelling, "Oh my God, a plane struck the tower." And I had no idea what the Twin Towers were at that time. And so I thought they meant the tower at the Little Rock National Airport there in now the Bill and Hillary Clinton National Airport. But that's what I thought it was. And then just watching the events unfold. Sean?
So I was living in the Bay Area. and I'm very familiar with the Twin Towers. I'd spent a lot of time in New York, been up to the towers. I guess it was just after the first plane hit, I had turned on the Today Show. That was kind of my routine at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw the first plane had hit. And as I was watching the second plane hit, and that's when I started calling people, like, hey, there's something really serious going on. Get home, do what you need to do, stay safe. Because one of those flights was supposed to come to the Bay Area, and, we just didn't know where it was going to go.
Right, and I remember, we talk about laughable things, looking back, obviously, everybody was scared shitless that day, but I remember that day people being like, oh my God, could something happen here in Arkansas? And, of course, now you look back and you're like, what the fuck are they going to hit in Arkansas? A cow pasture? But,
Well, Timothy McVeigh was eyeing Arkansas.
That's true. I have heard that.
If you read his book, he actually talked about how he walked into the federal building, and when he saw the flower shop, it reminded him of his mother, and he immediately got into the car and drove to Oklahoma City and decided that was going to be his target.
See, that's interesting to me because I had heard a similar story that he walked in, but he decided that there wasn't enough children there or something. So that's actually interesting that you said that it had to do with the flower shop.
He wasn't targeting children.
Yeah, I think the fact that there was a daycare in the Oklahoma City federal building, he wasn't 100% aware of that. It was just a federal building. It was a target for him.
Right. And
the building that he originally targeted there in Little Rock, it had the FBI and a whole lot of different federal offices up there. It's the largest skyscraper in Little Rock. If you can call it that.
I was about to say, now thinking about it, the biggest building in Little Rock is what, the Metropolitan Building, formerly the TCBY building.
Yeah, it was that building.
Was it? That's the okay. Oh shit! Damn, that's surprising. But, that is a pretty big building. I guess you could call it a skyscraper by Arkansas standards.
By Arkansas standards, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But definitely, even listening to President Trump's remarks, I remember texting you guys in our group chat over there on Facebook that day. And, Antonio cracked a joke back at me. But I said, let's just hope President Trump don't fuck this up and he actually acts right at these damn things. And, Antonio, you cracked your joke back. But, I got to give him credit. That little excerpt that I heard there wasn't bad. I think sometimes he understands the moment and when it's time to turn it on. And, sometimes I think he has that button when it's time to turn it on, when it's time to, flip it off.
He's a TV personality. Yes, he knows when to turn it on and turn it off.
Right. Very true. And, I didn't even think about it in that aspect, but very true. Joe Biden, once again, went out there. I thought he acted very professionally based on what I saw. Pretty cool seeing him console that mother, the 90-year-old lady. And, Joe actually, I saw a video this past week, and I forgot. I don't know whether one of y'all shared it in the American Idiots group chat or whether I saw it just on Facebook, but it was of an actual veteran, an Iraq war veteran that confronted Joe Biden and said, you're responsible for all the people that died and all that stuff. And he was like, looky here, mother. And literally, I've never heard a politician say this, but I was waiting for him. He stopped short of saying it, but he looked at him and basically said, looky here, motherfucker. My son died in that shit. So definitely Joe's had a hell of a week. But, first off, I can't blame him when I've always thought that's a shitty thing to do, to run up on somebody like that at a rally. And, even doing it to Trump, I think would be a shitty thing to do, to fucking run up on somebody and be like, you're responsible for all my friends who died. Ultimately, are they? Yes, but no. Like, they didn't specifically say, hey, you Joe Blow from Arkansas, I'm going to send you to war so you can die.
If you want to actually place blame on what's been going on in the Middle East, you got to go back about 150 years. And you first have to start with Great Britain. and then America. You know, the world powers at the time that went over there, basically, I mean, they've been poking that red snake for what, 35, I'm sorry, 125 years now. And 9/11 was kind of the direct response to that, you know, just we wouldn't leave them the fuck alone. And finally, they struck back.
You are right about that. I mean, I'm not going to say that it's acceptable what they did by any stretch of the imagination.
No, I'm not saying it's acceptable.
Right.
I'm just saying that if we had been in their situation, we would have done the same fucking thing.
I would like to think that we try to avoid killing innocent civilians at all costs. But
no, we didn't.
Well, damn, Manic Hispanic, you're supposed to be on my side on this.
Well, you know, you look at Hiroshima and you look at Nagasaki.
Right.
They targeted military installations, but they knew there was other innocents that were going to be killed.
200,000 innocent civilians died.
I mean, and it's true too, you know, like you say, Sean, even these smart guided bombs and stuff, they still end up with civilian casualties.
They fail 78% of the time.
Right.
But people say everything or close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. But I mean, atomic bombs too. You don't have to be right on target.
Very true. You don't have to really, for an atomic bomb, you don't have to be anywhere damn near target. I think they're still feeling babies over there being born with defects and stuff from the fallout from that, I believe. So
yeah, I actually met one once. His name was Michael Carnahan.
I hate you.
When you're in these countries that are gung-ho and want to take you to war, these are some of the consequences.
Very true. Very true. And, you know, that's also something interesting is the fact that how much, you know, as much as I hate to put it this way, is it our fault that those people died over there in the Middle East, or is it the fucking regime's fault for fucking doing the stupid shit that they did? It's a interesting quandary.
Continuous cycle that goes on because our country's central intelligence and other countries' central intelligence are trying to play games of chess, and all they're doing is using us as pawns.
Absolutely. You know, actually, it's interesting. I remember I was watching Friday night because I'm one of those weirdos that goes back and watches the news coverage from 9/11, for example, in this case. And that day, actually, they were actually reporting about a spy that was killed in Iraq. That Iraq was saying that they killed him or something. A spy plane, excuse me. A spy plane that was shot down. And Iraq said they shot it down, but the U.S. was like, no, you didn't. So, I mean, yeah, you're right. We constantly play games with, and they play games with us. It's kind of chicken almost.
Yeah.
Hold on. Got to respond to Sean here in our chat because he likes to ask questions.
Well, I can't because I have two cameras
pull my
going.
Minority card and say we need to get the two Seans off the screen.
Okay.
Oh, we
okay.
can't do that yet. Not until Tally shows up.
Oh.
I was gonna pull my.
Yeah, I'm filling in for Tally right now.
What can Brown do for you?
Oh my goodness. Well, y'all, President Trump and Joe Biden are kind of at a impasse here on something that, let's be honest, who would have thought that they would have agreed on? Climate change and how it's affecting the California wildfires. So we'll go ahead and we'll go ahead and watch this from Reuters.
We've ended the war on beautiful, clean coal.
We're going to get back into the Paris Agreement, back into the business of leading the world.
When it comes to climate, it's Donald Trump's war on red tape versus Joe Biden's green revolution.
Climate change is a top-tier issue for Democratic voters. It's a front burner issue for young voters, especially. The 2020 election basically is a crossroads for two extremely different paths that the United States could go on in terms of combating climate change.
First up, let's look at the candidates' climate plans. Joe Biden has beefed up his strategy to tackle climate change. The former vice president is focusing on a new green infrastructure to reinvigorate the U.S. economy. Biden's clean energy revolution would pour $2 trillion in spending over his 4-year term. It also aims to achieve 100% clean electricity by 2035.
The United States will continue to have among the very cleanest air and cleanest water on earth, which we do now.
Donald Trump has rejected mainstream science on climate change. The Republican president does not have a climate plan on his campaign website, but an energy and environment section highlights his administration's focus on unraveling Obama-era regulations. That includes withdrawing the United States from the Paris Climate Agreement and freeing the energy and auto industries from federal regulations.
Trump's approach to environmental issues is basically, he says he's for clean air and water, but he himself is not introducing any new environmental rules that aim to protect. His approach is, drill more, extract more, companies will innovate on their own. He doesn't feel the government needs to intervene.
Trump has pledged to revive the coal industry. In early 2017, the president invited miners to the White House as his administration announced plans to slash air and water regulations. But due to abundant natural gas and falling prices for wind and solar power, Trump has failed to stop coal plant shutdowns. In 2019, coal-fired electricity output fell 18% to the lowest level since 1975. In August, the Trump administration finalized plans to open up part of the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge in Alaska to oil and gas drilling. It's a move that overturns decades of protections for the largest remaining stretch of wilderness in the United States. Biden has resisted a push by his party's liberal wing to impose a nationwide ban on fracking. The Democratic candidate also supports investing in coal communities by offering alternatives to mining work.
Some people are still upset that Biden doesn't go for what a lot of younger voters are calling for, which is banning fracking, putting a really concrete end to the production of fossil fuels. His plan really stays clear of that. It doesn't really mention natural gas in that way or oil. But I think for the time being, there seems to be at least an acknowledgement that he's moved the bar higher. A lot of it in response to some heavy pressure from youth voters and youth activists.
Okay, so Trump, and we saw some of the comparing and contrasting to Trump and Biden, which a lot of it sounded pretty similar. It sounds like Biden is still, pro coal, and which is possibly going to get him votes, in North Carolina, South Carolina, that area, Pennsylvania, Ohio, all those areas. But it sounds like, Trump is, completely for lifting restrictions and getting rid of the restrictions. But the question I have here, and the question that I have for you specifically, Sean, is how the hell does this play into a wildfire that was started by a gender reveal party?
Honestly, I don't know how that plays into a gender reveal party.
Well, they say that the wildfire that's currently burning in California was a result of a gender reveal party gone wrong or something. Maybe
one of the major fires around the Bay Area is, but there's over 100 fires in California right now.
Oh, God bless. I thought it was all one giant fire.
No.
Well, they're starting to merge together and stuff like that.
Yes.
But no, there were fires that were started by lightning.
Yes.
And reveal. And every year we have it. I don't know why they think all of a sudden it's different this year.
True.
So
and it's no worse this year, let's be honest.
The government would ban those types of, gender reveal, explosive, the things that they used to do that.
Now, is that not the government stepping in and doing too much, though, Sean?
Well, because people don't have the fucking common sense to not do it. I mean, look, you got the skies are orange in California right now. It's crazy.
But let's be honest, Sean, you're the biggest thing of Darwinism.
What's that? What?
My question is about controlled burning. Why don't California do controlled burning like a lot of other places do. I know they're trying
Don't they?
To my knowledge, no, they don't.
Well, I always thought that they did. I mean, I lived there for quite a few years, and I know the Forest Service did. I know around all the state parks, different places like that. There's a lot of land, though. You can't control burn every single acre.
Right. Right. And a lot of these are, burning very, very close to homes and things of that nature. And like actually I read an article earlier saying that some of this smoke from the California wildfire, which blows my mind, but is actually blown as far east as New York.
Right.
That's fucking insane.
It's kind of like Mount St. Helens. When Mount St. Helens blew up way back in 1980, we're getting a lot of that over here. It's even in Arkansas at this point right now.
Well, yeah, you would think that if it made it all the way to New York, I would say it probably made it to Arkansas. But
oh wait, let me say that the right way.
I wasn't being a smart
here in
ass.
Arkansas.
I wasn't being a smart ass. I promise. I was literally saying, I guess that makes sense. But no, freaking. But I still don't understand. What does a lightning strike or a gender reveal party or anything like that have to do with regulations on the climate? Why are we merging these two subjects?
Because they can.
Yeah, I mean, Antonio's saying it right there. They're using everything that they can before the election to be some kind of issue that they can argue for the election. It's kind of stupid.
And by the way, AOC and her Green New Deal can still kiss my ass, but I'm not I may be voting for Biden, kicking and screaming, but I'm not an AOC fan.
Well, you should be.
Lord Jesus, that woman is crazy. That woman is insane.
Beautiful. She's amazing.
That woman was hired and given a script to read.
That woman is special. We'll put it that way.
Read this one.
We need more women like her in this country.
She's something. She's something.
I mean, don't be threatened because a really strong woman has taken a leadership role in America.
It's not got anything to do with her being a really strong woman. It's got everything to do with the fact that I disagree with her policies. The Green New Deal, you're talking about already, and that's more extreme than what Biden is putting out there. You're talking about already, they just said that Biden's economic policies are going to have a $2 trillion price tag. Good Lord knows what the type of... Oh. No, you're unmuted. You should be able to hear me. I don't know why you can't hear me. Can you hear me, Antonio?
I can.
Okay, cool. I don't know why you can't hear me. But you're talking about a $2 trillion price tag from... I don't know why you can't hear me. No, you're talking. I can hear you. Just fine.
I don't know. You turned me off.
No, I didn't. We can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yes.
I can't hear anything.
I don't know why.
You did something a while ago when I did this.
I muted that one. I muted your phone, Sean. We're doing this live on the air, guys. This is wonderful. Sean showing his technological prowess.
Audio test.
He probably has his...
There we go.
There we go.
Hey, welcome back, Sean.
Hey, glad to hear you. But anyway, back to what I was saying.
This is what happens when divas try to, take up more screen space.
Right. He wanted all the screen space. But no, you're talking about Biden has a $2 trillion price tag on his, which is crazy amounts of spending when we're, in debt. But AOC wants to go even more extreme on this climate change crap. I don't agree with it. That's a lot of fucking spending to spend on a potential problem. Remember, we've talked about preventative maintenance? This would be preventative maintenance.
Well, I think there has been 3 times that people have come out and said we've got 10 years. If we don't change things, the earth is going to be done with. And
I don't know how many times I've seen that doomsday clock go to fucking like 5 minutes
They always
till.
talk about if we don't change it in 10 years. Well, this time they got smarter and said 12 years. But I mean, the Earth goes in cycles. Everything goes in cycles.
No, it is right that there are different things that cause, cycles in the Earth. But as far as the greenhouse effect that we see on Mars and that we see on Venus and different planets, we are heading in that direction, and we are seeing the evidence of that happening. And if we don't slow that process down, I couldn't tell you if it's 10, 12, if it's 20, or if it's 100 years.
But
the fact that it's going to destroy the atmosphere, and we are going to end up like Venus and Mars, and everything's going to fucking die. We do need to fucking try to stop that from happening as much as possible. When we've killed 99% of the animals on this planet, I mean, doesn't that affect anybody?
Hey, by the way, Sean,
I don't know that animals dying on the planet is going to turn us into Mars.
Hey, by the way, Sean, this week you can see Uranus with the naked eye. Anyway, with that being said, sorry, that was a headline on one of our local news stations. But no, legitimately, Sean, my thing is this. I read reports saying that the ozone is repairing itself and we're doing the right thing. So why do we now need to delve more money into something when we're already going in the right direction as far as the ozone? Why do we need to now, if we're already going in the right direction, why do you need to delve trillions and trillions more into it when, hey, you're going in the right direction, keep doing what you're doing?
And to piggyback on top of that, how many fossil fuels are going to be used in order to make the batteries that need to be? How many fossil fuels are going to be used in order to keep the batteries that we need to use for all this other stuff? I mean, you make windmills, but in order to get the windmills, you have to use fossil fuels to initially make those windmills.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter. I don't understand how they plan on getting to be 100%.
Well, another thing that we could do too is that if you look at Europe, they use more nuclear power than we do. Nuclear power is not a dangerous thing. And all the people
correctly.
Yeah, exactly. And when all of the anti-nuclear people came along in the 70s and 80s, and they were actually protesting against using nuclear power in this country, they were wrong, and most of them have come back and said so. We were wrong in the 70s and 80s, and we look at the actual models of what has happened in France, in Germany, Switzerland, Norway, all these different countries that use nuclear power. France is another great example, and they do this without any type of accidents. Nothing bad has happened. It's cost efficient, and it actually works.
Not an accident
we need to do
until
that.
there is.
There will be eventually, yes, but
I mean, you look at Chernobyl. They weren't planning on that to happen.
Chernobyl was a failed system because of the Soviet Union was a failed system. I mean, when you go about what was happening, it's absolutely true.
It was a failed system because they pushed the wrong button.
No, there was a lot of maintenance and things that weren't being done the right way. There were a lot of procedures that weren't being done the right way. Right. The way that they built that nuclear facility wasn't done the right way. Right. And the Soviet Union, in their arrogance, thought, hey, we can handle anything. And obviously they couldn't. I mean, you look at, Fukushima over in Japan, that disaster that they just had.
Yeah.
Now, that was a major, major disaster. And you would have thought that the Japanese would have been able to handle something a lot better, and they didn't. So, in their arrogance,
that's what I'm saying. It's not an accident until it is.
Well, some things happen worse than others, and you have to look at how they built Fukushima. You have to look at how they built the one in the Soviet Union we were just talking about, Chernobyl. And then look at the other models in Germany and France and different things. They don't build them the same way in all these other different countries.
Right, because they have learned based on other things that have happened, but there may be a flaw that we haven't seen yet in the way they're building them now. We don't know until...
Very true. And I'll be honest, I'm not going to lie and say we don't have an impact on the environment. All you got to do is look at the weather patterns that we're having nowadays. We're having these superstorms. It's kind of there in plain English for you. But I still say that if we're going in the right direction and we have scientists saying we're going in the right direction, why do we then need to... I'm not even saying I'm not for putting more money in it, but you're talking about delving trillions upon trillions of dollars to get so far ahead of the curve that we don't necessarily need to be that far ahead of the fucking curve.
Hold on. We were going in the right direction until the Trump administration started attacking the EPA and taking away all the regulations that put us where we were at. Now all that stuff's been taken away. Of course, we need to put more money into it because we need to get back to where we were at. We had this nice, steady, buildup of what we were doing, and that was all thrown away.
But so trillions upon trillions of dollars, Sean.
We spend that on war. Why can't we spend that on the earth?
Why? To be fair, and honestly, I think this is a fair comment. Why are we the only ones that are going to spend trillions upon trillions of dollars on it?
True.
Everyone should. The whole goddamn planet should do it.
Clean energy when we can figure out how to do clean energy.
Well, we figured some ways out, and we should do those things.
Kill what is working to try what might work. I'm 100% in favor of nuclear.
Mm-hmm. And everybody should be.
So I don't want my comments to be misconstrued.
Right.
I am in favor of nuclear, but what I'm saying with that is you have to expect there to be an issue from time to time. Now, time to time could be once every 50 years, once every 60 years.
Well, yeah, I mean, the universe and everything in it is nothing but chaos. So chaos is going to ensue. Something bad is going to happen eventually, and people are going to fucking die. That is just reality. But we can try to stop that as much as possible and save as many lives as possible and make the world a better place. That's what we need to be working on. Instead of stockpiling nuclear weapons and, creating the biggest military that's ever been in the history of the world, we need to get away from that type of shit. We actually need to turn around and take care of the country.
Nobody would need military.
What?
But we don't all get along. We've got people that
very true.
kill us, so we have to have a military.
We just talked about 9/11 here, Sean.
Why don't we get along? Why doesn't the entire world get along? Why don't we hit that? Why can't we solve that
Let me
problem?
guess, it's America's fault.
No, it's not America. People have been fighting since caveman days for 100,000 years. But you would think, as evolved apes as we are, to have the ability to reason, to be able to create beautiful things that we do, why can't we reason enough to come together to stop all the horse shit and make the world a better place? Why can't we do that?
But Sean, we're talking on things.
Why do you think it is, Sean?
True.
One of the main reasons why I think that it happens, I think religion has a lot to do with it.
It was coming.
No, I'm not bagging on any one religion.
And I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you because there is a lot of argument over that.
Yeah, most of the wars that happen on this planet happen because people disagree about what God they believe in or whatever.
I mean, the Taliban even said, that was a holy war.
It comes down to people's personal preference.
Which is something you'll never change.
If we weren't arguing about religion, we'd be arguing about something else.
Right.
Democrat versus Republican.
We argue about football teams.
Express
it is what it
ourselves,
is.
And when people don't agree with us, we tend to get upset.
Sean, you're talking about us as a society who, a few years ago in Texas, a guy had his nutsack ripped open over a football game. Come on now. You really think we're that close that we can actually be like, let's just hold hands and be friends?
Well, no. I don't think we're anywhere near any type of societal utopia where everybody's going to get along. That's hundreds of years in the future. It will not happen in my lifetime.
So why do we attack each other?
We attack each other over ignorance and hate. Okay, we attack each other over...
Would you apply that to yourself last week?
How so?
When you focused on one person, quote, wanting control, and she left? Because she
No,
didn't
not at
want
all.
to be attacked?
Because somebody said something as a generalization over a particular philosophical ideal. And so I played devil's advocate and came back and said, well, if that's the case, then all conservatives are evil.
I think
And
that's
it was
the
just
first time
tit
I've
for
ever
tat.
heard Sean stumble. I will say that.
Yeah,
I think that's the first
But
time
I mean,
I ever heard Sean stumble over his words.
It was just a tit for tat where somebody came at me with a generalization. So I was like, okay, well, here's a generalization for you. Now, I can handle the generalizations all day long because I know the arguments to go against that. But when I presented a generalization, that person got mad and quit, which is sad. And I wish they hadn't have done that. You know?
No, you specifically said you want to control everything.
That I want to?
No, you told her that she wanted to control everything.
Oh, well, I don't remember actually saying that. I probably was generalizing saying conservatives. I don't know if I actually meant her. I didn't mean her specifically.
Right.
And if it was construed that way, then that was, not my idea.
That's why it looked like more of a personal attack than a debate topic.
Right. And I didn't mean it to be that way. Not at all.
Right. But, Sean, going back to what we were saying about the why can't we be friends situation, once again, we can't. Unfortunately, as a society, you're talking about, like you said, hundreds and hundreds of years.
If people, hundreds of thousands of years.
Thousands,
yeah.
If people could actually take facts for what they are and take away superstition and willful, ignorant opinion, then yes, we could get along. But you have to go by the facts.
Sean, we have facts that we argue about all day, every day. There's I'll use another common, thing here in America, football. What's a catch? Well, according to the rule book, you interpret it this way, but this other dude interprets it that way.
That's why you have referees.
The referees don't even agree.
No, but they have a final say so.
So
and that's where the law comes into play. That's where judges come into play. The Supreme Court comes into play. You have to have someone that actually has a final say so.
Oh, fuck. I forgot to add that to the topic.
So it goes back to control.
True.
Whoever has the control makes the rules, therefore implements what everybody should follow.
Very true.
Well, whoever has the power, everyone that has the power has always been able to control everybody.
I mean, let's be honest. Whether it be Republican or Democrat, every time there's a regime change or a party change in the White House,
well, I mean, you can look at any government.
Person previously gets their shit basically undone, whether it be Bush to Obama or Trump to Obama.
Yeah, but I mean,
they go back and wipe out their
simplify it and look at every government that's ever been, from feudal systems all the way up to what we have now. The people that have the power are the ones that make the rules. They're the ones that write history. They're the ones that make everything the way that they see it. We have a bunch of old white fucking men that run Congress, right? The majority of them are old white fucking Christian men. They run Congress. They're the ones over the past 235 years that have ruined the goddamn country.
Very true, Manicus Manic. I don't know how many of them, they may claim to be Christian, but I don't know how many of them actually are.
They do make that claim.
With we can't get along because we're going to argue over our views.
I think we as human beings are going to find something to argue over.
Just erase the views and go with the actual scientific facts.
But like we just said, Sean, just like we said, me and Antonio can disagree about a scientific situation, or our interpretation of a scientific situation could be different from yours. And what are we going to do? We're going to debate that.
But scientific fact will actually rule every single time when you have a consensus. And that's what was going to happen with scientific law.
But every scientific fact is always going to be interpreted different by different people.
Okay, so do you believe in gravity?
Well, yes, but that's something.
Do you want to test that theory?
that's something that isn't something that is up for. That's something that literally you can't interpret different.
There are people that say gravity doesn't exist.
Well, there you go then. There you go then. So there will always be those people.
But what I'm saying is that you can actually prove them wrong because it's a scientific fact. Okay? And we can test that theory. But will they ever say they're wrong? I can take you to the top of that TCBY tower and throw you off, and we'll see if gravity actually works or not.
So, question though, Sean, would they still argue? We still have flat fucking earthers on this fucking planet.
Yes, we do.
And we still have flat earthers on this planet who refuse to acknowledge the fact that we're living on a sphere.
And we have proved them wrong time and time again, and those people still have the right to say what they believe, but we have the right to ridicule them and say that they're fucking idiots.
But Sean, they still exist, and they're still the argument.
Lead into
but they're the minority.
Very true.
And then grow into a war.
Very fucking accurate.
Gonna fight for flat Earth. I don't think that's ever going to happen.
They might fight over lizard people.
It can be about any topic.
Right.
Once we start expressing our opinions, and someone disagrees with our opinions, that is a potential for war, which goes back to why we can't get along.
I think human beings as a species will always find something to disagree on, and will always find something to fight over.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's absolutely true. When you look at those Facebook posts like, what color is this purse? And is it gold or is it green?
You are so right.
Right. Yeah, there's stupid shit like that happens. I mean, I look at my shirt right now, from a distance it looks red, but it looks pink compared to yours. Yours looks redder than mine. But we could argue about it all day long. The fact is that they're different shades of red, and that is a fact. That's all that is to it. That's what should be accepted.
Me and my girlfriend have actually had this talk before. She tried to show me they apparently have a new one. She's like, what color is this? And I said, red, I think. And she's like, no, it's fuchsia or something. And I'm like, fuck, that's red.
No comment.
Red is red.
The red base.
Red is red, Sean. Your shirt is red. My shirt is red. That's how I look at it. But with that being said, like I said, final thoughts on this. Antonio, I think you're right. I don't think we'll ever find something. We're not going to get rid of the argumentative nature of human beings.
We will eventually. We will eventually. If we don't destroy the planet in the near future, we eventually will evolve to a point where we will have a better society. That will happen. It just takes time.
And maybe we will.
Yeah, and it could be 1,000,000 years from now if we survive. But it will eventually happen.
But then again, let's be honest. In the 80s, we thought we'd have fucking flying cars by now. So
in the 60s, we thought that, yeah.
Sorry, in the 60s. Still. Okay, Trump holds another rally where social distancing is a problem, and we got a story from Good Morning America.
The fires, mail-in voting, and of course the coronavirus, all now flashpoints in the campaign. According to a new ABC News Ipsos poll, only 35% of those asked approve of President Trump's handling over the pandemic. 65% disapprove. For the latest on the campaign, let's go to ABC's Andrew Dimbert in Washington, D.C. Andrew, good morning to you.
Good morning, Whit. It's really been a busy few days for the Trump team here, trying to clean up some of the president's remarks from the coronavirus to mail-in voting. All the while, his opponent, Joe Biden, unloading on President Trump, accusing him of lying to the American people. This weekend, President Trump heads out west to Nevada, holding another signature in-person rally with no social distancing and few in the crowd wearing masks.
The Democrats are trying to rig this election because it's the only way they're going to win.
It's a sharp contrast to opponent Joe Biden's stumping strategy. Biden has not had large crowds at his events due to coronavirus concerns and only recently started making more public appearances. The Democratic nominee wasting little time attacking Trump, calling his events reckless rallies. The Biden campaign also responding to a new Politico report alleging Trump officials are interfering with CDC reports, stating the administration has put political optics ahead of safety.
I wanted to always play it down. I still like playing it down.
Yes, sir.
Because I don't want to create a panic.
Biden also blasting Trump for this interview with Bob Woodward.
He said he just didn't want to worry people. Meantime, we're approaching 190,000 dead.
Trump trying to clarify those remarks by evoking World War II historical icon and British Prime Minister Winston Churchill, known for his inspiring speeches as a leader in the fight against Nazi Germany.
He always spoke with calmness. He said, we have to show calmness.
As the race for the White House hits the home stretch, Trump is also again facing backlash for his messaging on mail-in voting, after tweeting and urging voters in the critical battleground state of North Carolina to follow up at polling sites even after mailing in their ballots to vote again if they think their vote wasn't counted. Twitter flagging the president's tweet for violating its civic integrity policy. North Carolina Attorney General Josh Stein pointing out voting twice would be a felony, while urging voters to not do what the president directs. Now, voters in North Carolina can track their ballots online. As for those allegations of CDC interference, a spokesperson for the Department of Health and Human Services says that pandemic policy is driven by science. Eva?
Andrew, thank you.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.
So, number one, I would just like to point out that the fucking district attorney of the state of North Carolina had to tell people not to do what the president says. That's a major facepalm. Number two, what the fuck, man? You're supposed to be setting the example. Why are you not telling people, hey, if you want to come, feel free, come as many as you want, whatever. Fucking wear a damn mask.
Well, because you have people that still think it's a hoax because the president told them that.
He definitely downplayed it. Antonio, I mean, you've been to a rally. You were at the rally, the boat parade. Obviously, that's different.
This is how I look at it, man. Yes, he said he downplayed it, but in the end, he said that it was as bad as the flu. We've had the flu, which mutates every year, a couple of times a year for a lot of it. People have gotten sick. People have died from the flu. Why has there never been this kind of push against the flu?
Well, we do have a flu season. A flu season usually lasts about 4 months. This has lasted over 8 months now and is looking to last for over the next 2 years without going away. That's the projections that I've seen. And they say because of those projections and the severity of this virus, we may lose up to 2 million people or more in the country because of it. Now, we lose about, what is it? 75,000 a year to the flu, something like that.
Yeah,
I don't know the exact number. Yeah, it's like 75,000 to 80. But again, that's a 4-month period. And we expect this every year. This is different. This is more aggressive. And there is no season for it. You know, we thought when summer would come, the numbers would drop. Then we looked at Venezuela, 100-degree temperatures, and their numbers started rising. We knew at that point, oh, shit, we're fucked. When summer comes, this isn't going away. And until we get a vaccine, we're probably stuck with this.
Yeah,
and this is the new norm.
Vaccine, we're in danger. I get that. But masks have been proven to be not really effective because they're allowing particles in that are bigger than the virus is.
Well, can't we manufacture masks that are more effective? We have ways to do that, right? This is America. We should be able to invent anything in this. If this country's so fucking great, why can't we invent a mask to stop COVID?
Well, I mean, Sean, you actually said something that I think is a dangerous statement. I don't think even when we get a fucking vaccine, we're going to fucking be out of the woodwork. Because guess what? There's already people on Facebook saying, fuck your vaccine, I'm not taking it.
And you know what? They may die, and if that's their choice. Anti-vaxxers, to me, you know what? That's Darwinism right there. It doesn't bother me at all.
But this isn't necessarily anti-vaxxers. These are people that say that, hey, this may not be a good vaccine, because there are reports that they're rushing to get this vaccine out quicker than usual, and they're going to skip processes and things like that.
But they're not skipping processes. They're just moving as fast as they possibly can. Okay. All they're doing
the FDA just gave them clearance to not go through. I think they said phase 2 or phase 3. I forget which one.
Well, then I didn't know that.
Yes.
Then I didn't. Okay, so I didn't know that. So if they're skipping an entire trial period, I mean, I get it because they don't want more people to die. But vaccines do fucking work, and they will eventually come up with one. Okay, and when they do, everybody should take it. I mean, if you haven't gotten your flu shot yet, I recommend everybody start scheduling it right now. Get ready to take your flu shot, because
Sean,
if COVID,
we get them for free, and I don't think I get mine. I just don't get mine just because I never fucking schedule it.
Really,
to be honest,
like my entire family, we'll all get our flu shots because that's what we should do. We don't want to.
It's not that I have anything against it. I just never fucking make it a priority to go get a flu shot.
I don't have anything against it either. I don't feel that I need it.
And I mean, we all get it for free, full disclosure, at the VA. And I still don't make it a priority.
And you should get it. I mean, you just should.
I think we get it for free. I think there's a big-ass sign every year that says we get them for free. I don't fucking know. But, yeah, I mean, certainly something to keep your eye on is, I don't think that people are already getting pissed that, Pfizer, I think it's Pfizer that's being allowed to go through this without going through the full trials and everything, which, like I said, I can understand expediting the process, but at the same time, how are you going to also tell me that this is going to be the vaccine and this is what's going to do it, but then fucking what if it doesn't work? Well, guess what? You just fucking killed a bunch of people.
Another thing I had shared with y'all earlier in the week was the way they're testing for it. The person that came up with the test that they're using is saying that that's not the way the test is supposed to be used. That particular test uses RNA.
There are several.
It's supposed to test DNA, and COVID is an RNA-based virus.
And there are several tests that they use. That particular test is correct that it failed 90% of the time, but there are several tests that they use, and they had to narrow them. They had to narrow them all down as far as which one was the most effective.
I know they've definitely evolved.
You got COVID, dude?
Because shut up. I know they've definitely evolved. Actually, I remember during the early part of this COVID where we were just fucking working, we used to laugh and say it's not COVID, it's a smoker's cough. Shut up. But the thing is with this whole situation is, I've seen the test evolve. Used to, it was you wait at least 2 to 3 days to get your results. Now I think the NFL was talking about they get their test results instantaneously.
Really?
Because they make their athletes go through testing every single day to come into the facility. They have
It's not quite instantaneously. They do a temperature check. If the temperature check is good, they go through, they do the COVID test, and then they get the results later that day.
Okay. I thought it was instantaneous. But yeah, so I mean, even within the
players
same day.
are still in danger, in that
absolutely.
time period.
I was even sitting there watching this last night, thinking, man, these guys are out here not wearing masks. But I heard that they did make a special helmet that is supposed to be able to protect.
And most of the players aren't wearing it.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah. I did not know that. But yeah, I was sitting there.
Yeah, look at their face masks, man. When you look at it, the majority of them aren't wearing it.
Yeah. And I was sitting there. Well, I mean, I'm sure it's also hard to fucking breathe in them damn things. Honestly, like in that case, I'm sure it's hard to breathe because you're talking about you're taking deep fucking breaths running down 100-yard field. You know what I'm saying? I give up.
These are Spartans, man. They can handle anything.
Are you not entertained?
That's Gladiator. You got the wrong movie.
I know, but fuck you. Oh my God, we're falling apart without the ladies on this show. What the fuck's going on?
Right? There is a balance. There is a balance to the show when you have them on. Where are they all at? Like none of them are coming on?
I know one of them is having scheduling issues, and the other one is dealing with some family issues right now. So hopefully we'll get one of them on here before the end of the show, but not sure.
So statistically, the guys are always ready to go.
Woo! Wait, hold on. That could have been taken more than one way, sir.
Right.
Hey, you're only a few years away from needing a blue pill to be ready to go, Sean.
No,
you're
sir.
Not that far away.
No, sir. I'm okay.
Oh, goddamn, we've gone off the rails. Okay, so while we're going off the rails, we might as well fully go off the rails. Joe Rogan may be hosting a presidential debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. I don't know if you guys saw this. Swear to God, Donald Trump agreed. Trump agreed. If Joe Biden agrees, this will be the greatest fucking debate ever.
Get all of those parameters.
No, I did not see the parameters.
He wants it to be himself, Joe Biden, and Donald Trump for 4 hours. Only them three, and it be live streamed, so nothing could ever be edited.
Oh my God, I want this though. I want this. Joe Rogan is a moderator
for 4 hours.
Joe Rogan's going to start smoking a bong in the middle of this shit.
You're telling me that's not must-see television?
No.
Hey, Donald.
Joe Biden would fall apart after like 30 minutes.
Yeah, I can see them all sitting in a circle.
They'd all fall apart.
No.
Trump is used to being on camera, man. Look at the
True. Very true.
No, I think they'd all fall apart. I think this is a disaster waiting to happen.
You can sell pay-per-views for this.
I mean, Joe Rogan does what we do, as a podcast. He's been doing it a lot longer than what we've been doing, but he's not a journalist. He's an actor. He's a comedian.
But at the same time, though, it kind of appeals to me because Joe Rogan is one of those people that's very blunt. He's not gonna be like, well, Mr. Trump, how do you feel? He's gonna be like, hey, Donald, shut the fuck up. And I would not be surprised to hear him say that. And that's cool to me.
He's not going to be allowed to say things like that. That's the difference. The Secret Service and the administration, there are people that are going to rein him in and say, look, there are certain things you can and cannot do. And I'm surprised he even signed on to try to do anything like that.
Well, I think it was just he kind of threw a tweet out there, and Donald replied. I think he literally said, "I'm in."
Within minutes.
Yeah, which I mean, I'm here for it. I mean, I swear, I will live stream that debate, watching that debate, and I just want to see everybody's reaction the first time that Joe Rogan goes Joe Rogan on him and says, hey, by the way, when the fuck are we getting weed legal? Or something like that. Like, that dude, I am here for this. Mm-hmm. You're not a fan, Sean?
No, I think journalism is...
I'm so shocked. I thought of everybody, you'd be the one to be a fan of it.
No, I think journalism is a serious thing that I mean, it's like the fourth branch of the government, right? It's that important, the freedom of the press. And you put somebody like Joe Rogan, who is just like Donald Trump, a reality TV star, a comedian, I can't take it seriously. It's just... I don't know. It doesn't work for me.
I think part of the appeal to me is the fact that I think he wouldn't be afraid to call him out either. Like I said, I don't think he'd be afraid to say, shut the fuck up, Donald.
No, I think he would. I think that he would be told how many rules he has to abide by, and it wouldn't feel authentic. And that's one of the main reasons why they would censor Joe Rogan. So your
problem is you don't think we would be getting the Joe Rogan I'm thinking
of. We would not be getting the Joe Rogan that you want. No, It would be censored, and I hate censorship more than anything.
Right. So see, I can understand that. If it's not Joe Rogan being Joe Rogan, I'm not a fan. But
right, and they would water him down so much that it would just be he'd be sitting there like this. Hello, Mr. President. I want to ask you a question, and I think that you need to fucking answer me right now. Oh, wait, I said fuck, sorry. I mean, that's how it would go.
Could you imagine a presidential debate where the moderator said fuck, though? That would be a beautiful thing.
It would, yeah, but I just think it would be watered down really, really bad.
I mean, I don't think the conservatives would watch it, but I think that would be a beautiful
they'd watch it. They would watch it just to see what would happen, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's kind of like Jerry Springer, though. We'd be watching for the train wreck.
Your Steelers are up 6 points right now, by the way.
Yes, we are. And Daniel Jones has the ball, and it looks like they're driving. He just completed a pass to the inside the red zone.
Yeah,
So,
I had to give you some props there because I'm wearing the old New York hat just to,
Oh, you
irk you
motherfucker.
today.
I didn't even realize that you had changed that over. Okay, so I said I forgot to add it earlier, but now I'm springing it on you. Who the fuck cleared this? Who the fuck said that this was a good idea? What gives this man the right to be on a short list for Supreme Court judicial
He has a
appointment?
doctorate in law from Harvard.
Tom Cotton does?
Yes, he does.
I'll be damned. I did not know that.
Most people
Has he
don't because
practiced?
they don't. No, he doesn't practice law, but he has a
But has he
doctorate
in the
degree
past?
from Harvard.
Has
I
he in
don't
the
know
past
that he.
practiced?
I don't know that he ever did actually. I mean, he did some stuff in JAG temporarily in the military before he went to the infantry, but it was like one or two things, and it was mainly court filing and stuff like that.
Right.
He was never in a court. He never did anything on the judicial level. He just has the law degree, the doctorate in law from Harvard. That's what qualifies him.
I think that's a bad idea.
I mean, Ted Cruz
yeah, me
was on
too.
the list too. Putting a politician, period, on the Supreme Court bothers me.
Putting such an extremist politician as Ted Cruz or Tom Cotton, I think, is a bad idea.
I mean, Brett Kavanaugh, for, all he did right and wrong in his situation, wasn't a fucking politician. He was a judge.
Right.
This is what
And
he
that's
fucking does.
And that's where they need to pull them from, is from actual judges. I don't think they need to pull people that just have law degree. Like
I
people are
didn't
like
know you
President
could
Obama
do
should be.
that.
Well, a lot of people have been like President Obama needs to be a Supreme Court judge, and I'm like, no, I don't think
I'm
that he
not
needs
for
to be
that
because
either,
he's obviously biased. He was a Democratic president, so I don't think that. I mean, as much as I would love that, I don't think that would be healthy for the country. Not 100%.
Exactly. I mean, we talk about the conservative justices right now outweighing the liberal justices, and before too long,
but luckily, Justice
Kavanaugh's
Roberts
actually surprised me with a lot of his decisions since he's become.
But Justice Roberts has kept them from going too far to the right, and I do respect him for that because he does look at the Constitution and the law, and he tries to abide by that.
Who's the actual Chief Justice right now?
Roberts.
Roberts? Okay.
Yeah.
And see, that's the thing, though. Like, even though there is some conservative leanings, there's some liberal leanings on the Supreme Court, it's one of those things, like, if you get a fucking lawmaker on there, that makes no sense.
It doesn't.
It literally, like, you're talking about putting people that are literally bought and paid for, and I think we can all agree, Democrat or Republican, they're bought and paid for.
Mm-hmm.
On a situation where they're making decisions about the Constitution of our country, that's a problem.
Yes.
When you have senators that go, as a junior senator, their first year, they're making $120,000 a year, and by the time it's time for re-election, they're a millionaire. That doesn't add up. What's going on? They're taking money from somebody, and that shouldn't be allowed. But we allow that to happen, and it's bullshit. And it happens on both sides.
Yep.
Well, I know we're kind of blowing through these topics, so I don't have a headline for this one, but I wanted to ask you guys about this because I didn't even realize this was a problem. But I saw a local news station here in the area talk about how it is okay for the president to be using his own wealth to fund his re-election campaign. Is that a question? Is there some sort of law that I'm missing that you can't use your own fucking money to run your presidential campaign?
You can use your own money, and you can also lose all your money doing it. So that's the risk that you take.
I mean, honestly,
they're saying that he shouldn't be allowed to because
why?
I mean, everyone's been allowed to do that.
I don't understand why anyone would say. I mean, I guess from a fairness equation, you can't say that Joe Schmo off the street can run against Donald Trump and have the same sort of campaign finance. But
if we did elections the right way, say like how Great Britain does it, where there's no money involved at all, hardly any at all. It all comes from the government. Everybody gets the same amount. and it's not a lot, then it's fair. Okay, when you have billionaires that are throwing all this money out on either side because we've made corporations
let's be honest,
people,
Democrats spend just as much as the Republicans on.
No, I'm saying it for both sides. You know, billionaires shouldn't be allowed to give billions. You know, like there's a story about what's his name giving all this money down in Florida right now.
It's all of these pharmaceutical companies and all of these other companies that are throwing
and that's because of
billions
Citizens
for them.
United. Yeah, it's because of Citizens United, which made corporations people, and they're allowed to give as much money as they want, and that's bullshit. We need to get away from that. We need to go to a system like what Great Britain has, where it's balanced along the way, and anybody can become a politician, not just the rich. Anybody.
Well, I think minus outside of the individual campaign contributions from like businesses and stuff, I think federal funds is the same across the board. You get $500K, I think.
Yeah.
From federal funds.
Yeah, but you can get all these billions of dollars from everything else.
So you're more of get rid of the individual contributions, just give them the $500K.
Yes.
If you can't run a
campaign, has no place in politics.
Exactly.
I agree.
Business or religion have no place in politics.
I mean, I guess people could still argue saying, "Oh, well, the president gets the ability to use taxpayer money to go to their rallies on Air Force One, for example." So, I mean, I guess there could still be people that would complain that he would have the advantage. The incumbent would have the advantage.
But no president before Trump did rallies the way that Trump does. You know, they might have done a tour around the country on a train or a bus tour or something like that.
I'm pretty sure Bush and Obama used Air Force One.
Well, I don't know about all of that, but I'm talking about the big venue rally.
Oh, you're talking about the arenas. Yeah.
Yes. Different. It's been done in different ways where people would come to like a bus station or a train station, and you would see the president and he would say something. He didn't fill an arena like that. You know, that was saved for the Democratic convention or the Republican convention.
Right. I think Bernie may have hit one or two arenas, and that was, and Hillary obviously hit some as well. But I think literally it was, everything Trump did was in an arena versus, and to be fair, I will say this: when Trump came here, he went to Barton, which is our old dilapidated arena, versus going to.
But with the advent of the internet, do you even need that anymore? I mean, heck, just throw a rally on your computer and let 10 million people come on your computer.
The Democratic National Convention this year was completely cyber.
You can do the same thing.
And actually, a majority of the Republican, I think, was as well, if I'm remembering correctly. So, I mean, both. You're right.
Trump and Vincent Kennedy McMahon are, pretty good friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Trump has learned how to fill an arena.
That's a good point. They're such good friends that obviously he allowed his wife.
The two of you are wrestling fans, so that's not fair.
Shut up. He actually, Sean, I don't know. I'm surprised you've never said anything about this, but he actually allowed Vincent McMahon's wife, Linda, who is a Republican and did dabble in politics and got her ass whooped both times, but allowed her to run the small business side of the government.
I don't care about every aspect of his administration. There's certain things that just don't even hit my radar. I don't care about it all. So yeah, that doesn't surprise me that I missed that.
Yeah, it's one of those things though. It's kind of like Ben Carson is the head of the HUD. Why the fuck is he not Surgeon General? Oh, yeah, he isn't still?
I don't think so. I think he stepped down.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just like, when they said that, I'm like, when they said that he got the HUD position, I was like, you just gave a surgeon the housing and urban development position. A surgeon that you can't make this shit up. Okay, guys, let's just keep going.
Oh yeah, this is a tragic story here.
This is sad. So we have a story from KTLA on this.
Yeah.
Rick and Court, good evening to you both. That's right. The two sheriff's deputies are recovering at this hospital in Linwood tonight after suffering multiple gunshot wounds. Now, they're said to be in critical yet stable condition. In the meantime, there's an active search underway for the gunman who ambushed both sheriff's deputies last night. Tonight, officials offering a $100,000 reward for any information that leads to the arrest and conviction of the gunman.
We pray for the law enforcement, for the people that don on uniforms.
Dozens of people gathered in front of St. Francis Medical Center in Linwood Sunday night to pray for two LA County sheriff's deputies who were ambushed in what authorities are calling an unprovoked attack.
There continues to be rhetoric and demonization of our local law enforcement, and it needs to stop, and we need leaders to step up and do their job.
This as authorities continue to search for the gunman.
Hey, get over there. They said a deputy got shot in the head.
That was one of the calls that went out after the shooting. Surveillance video shows the suspect walk up to the patrol unit near the Blue Line metro station in Compton Saturday evening, opened fire from close range before running off. Sheriff Alex Villanueva spoke last night after the deputies underwent surgery.
They're both out of class 437, so they just graduated, and in fact, I swore them into office just 14 months ago. These are real people doing a tough job.
The deputies were shot multiple times. They are identified as a 31-year-old woman and a 24-year-old man. One of them was shot in the face, the other in the head, according to authorities. LA Mayor Eric Garcetti addressed the ongoing tension.
Of course, there's an important conversation going on about policing in this country, but these are folks who put their lives on the line for us, and we will find justice for them, and I pray for their recovery.
President Trump also acknowledging the attack during a campaign rally in Nevada.
Tonight we send our love and our support to their families, and we pray to God for their recovery.
On Saturday, a small group of protesters gathered outside the hospital shouting anti-law enforcement remarks. Deputies say protesters blocked the entrance to the hospital emergency room. Two people were detained, including a local reporter who was pinned to the ground. The reporter says she was arrested and charged with obstructing a peace officer, but was only doing her job. And tonight, President Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden reached out to the Sheriff's Department to offer their support during this very difficult time. Again, there's a $100,000 reward for any information that leads to the arrest and conviction of the suspect. So, of course, anyone with any information on who the suspect might be is encouraged to contact the Sheriff's Department. We're live in Linwood. Carlos Salcedo, KTLA 5 News.
Okay, I'm fired up now. I'm pissed off. First off, that reporter shouldn't have been arrested. These next few comments have nothing to do with her. That reporter shouldn't have been arrested. She was doing her fucking job. But fuck every single one of those people that stood outside of that hospital and did that shit. There's a time and fucking place for everything, and that's not it. You don't fucking do that, and you're a piece of shit human being if you did.
Well, I want to actually comment on the shooter. You know, when you look at violent crimes, especially gun crimes, things like that, the majority of people that get shot in this country are shot by someone that they know. So for them to say that it was a random act, that somebody just ran up there and shot these guys, that you don't know that. These guys have been on the job for 14 months. We don't know that these two cops didn't go fuck with this guy and piss him off and start some beef with this guy, and maybe he took it personally. He found out where they were and he shot them. Is it right? No, I'm not defending him.
Okay.
I am not defending him. I'm just saying it doesn't look like a random crime to me.
Oh, no.
Okay, this guy
you don't
wanted
get that
to,
close to a police officer, in my
this
opinion.
guy wanted to kill those two particular police officers, and there may be a reason for it in his own mind. Now, he's wrong for whatever reason, but they should not paint this as just random violence. That's fucked up.
Right. I completely agree with that. And once again, this does nothing to help the issue between police and the general public. This actually, once again, just, knocks it back again. And unfortunately, as much as we've talked about police brutality, this is just as fucking wrong. You don't do that shit. Right. This is just as fucking wrong. Like I said, to the people that were standing outside of that hospital, you're a fucking piece of shit human being, and Honestly, I wouldn't cry if you died tonight.
We still have cops choking and killing, black people all over America today. It hasn't stopped. I mean, there are 3 videos right now that I sent you just today.
And that's just abysmal. That's just as abysmal.
I mean, it's still happening. So, if you are a cop and you're afraid for your life, don't be a fucking cop. Go find another job. Go work at Walmart or somewhere like that. I mean, being a cop's a dangerous fucking job. You either to be
fair, these cops actually were probably pretty cool about it because, I mean, let's be honest. The dude fucking walked up on the car and literally got close enough that he fired. I want to say, unless I'm mistaken, he was within touching distance pretty easily of that vehicle.
Multiple shots. But yeah, my whole point is if you don't have the stones to do the job, don't fucking do it. Don't fucking do it.
Antonio, I'm fired up as far as seeing those people protesting outside of the hospital.
If you don't have the stones to do it, don't do it. But then don't get upset whenever I think everybody that approaches my vehicle may have ill intentions.
They might.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by this does absolutely zero to fucking help that situation. Because now what's going to happen? You aren't going to be able to walk up on any. I guarantee you that will be the next one.
Okay, so black people don't trust cops, and cops don't trust black people approaching them. I get it. It's both sides.
I don't know if that has to do with race. You're the one that's taking it to race now.
Well, I will say,
that shot him.
I guess I was kind of the one that took it to race because I said this does nothing to help the situation that we're currently in. So I guess that's my fault that I put us in that mindset.
To help the situation we're currently in, but it's anti-police, not blacks versus police. Because to my knowledge, there's a lot of white people out there who are anti-police now.
Very true. Very true.
Well, when it's convenient, I would say that.
Right.
I know a lot of rednecks. I know a lot of rednecks around this particular area that are like, fuck the police and all this bullshit. But when they see a Black Lives Matter, they're like, no, fuck that. That's wrong.
Blue line. Yeah, I support the blue line. Look at my flag.
Exactly.
As far as the people standing outside protesting, it wasn't just that they were protesting. They were blocking the entrance as the
that's wrong.
Coming up.
Yeah, and
they
that's
were
wrong. They shouldn't have been
chanting,
doing
let them die.
I didn't know that they were chanting "Let them die," but that's absolutely terrible as well. But the
if a reporter was out there blocking, supposedly reporting, then yeah, I can understand her getting arrested.
The question I have is it like the situation here where the person was detained and then let go once they found out, okay, she had nothing to do with this? And I want to know more about it.
If she was off to the side and recording, that's totally different. But if she was standing in the freaking driveway along with the group of people, then she brought it on herself.
And I mean, I know
she didn't, and it was wrong. But if she did.
Well, if she was reporting on the facts of what was happening and she got arrested, well, then that's wrong on them. But if she got in the way, I can understand why the cops would be like, you're obstructing, what's going on. I mean, no one, it's just like the Red Cross rules. You don't fire on the Red Cross. You don't fire on medics, different things like that. You let people try to save lives as best that they can. And if you're in front of the hospital emergency room entrance and you're like, let them die, and all, you're fucked up. Yeah, you're right. You shouldn't do that.
You're not only obstructing their ability to work on this person and being a piece of shit human being for screaming shit like that, but you're obstructing maybe that person that's coming into the hospital that has nothing to do with the situation, and you could possibly cause them to die. I feel like if we had more people on here, at least one person would probably say, yeah, fuck yeah, woo. But no.
Which is another reason I don't like the protesters that block highways, because you have no idea who needs to come down that highway.
There is a point to that, and I do agree with that, because if you had an emergency and you came up on a protest, you had your emergency lights on, and
I would like to think that they would. I would like to think that they would allow them.
I would like to think that they would allow a car through. Like, you could roll your windows down and be like, "Hey, man, it's a fucking emergency. I got to get through." If they didn't let you through at that point, yeah, they're pieces of shit. I get that.
I recall seeing a post on Facebook that they had an issue with a man who was having issues with his heart, and they tried to go up the road that was being blocked, and they started beating on the car and turned him away.
Well, then that's shitty. Honestly, I will say that's shitty.
Yeah.
Once again, hospitals don't. The fact, and I'm sure that person's family was there. I'm sure, to be quite blunt about it, I feel like for them to allow that person to approach the vehicle, that they were probably quite comfortable in that community. Because I don't know if you caught this, but they were in Compton.
Yeah.
They were in Compton.
No,
so I feel like they were probably quite comfortable in that community.
Compton's not that bad. Compton has a bad reputation because of the 80s and hip-hop and gangster rap. But Compton's just like Oakland, man. It's not that bad. I can walk down any street in Compton. Nobody's going to fuck with me, okay?
Well, my point is this, though. I feel like they were comfortable enough with the people that were in there that they did allow that person to come up. So that speaks to their comfortability with those people in that community. And they probably had a good reputation in that community, minus the fact that there were cops. They probably had a good reputation in that community.
I mean, we just don't know. We don't know what was going through the shooter's mind. And we probably
maybe they
never
had arrested one of his friends. Who knows? You're
right.
They
might have. Yeah, we just don't know.
And, I'll say this much, that shooter, whether he's just a short adult or whether he's a young person, looks like he probably just ruined his life if he's a young person.
Well, they said the camera angle was a fisheye, so it made him look a lot shorter on the video.
Okay.
He was probably, average height, 5'11" to 6 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
That was an SUV he fired into.
Right.
Yes, and he did approach from the rear of the vehicle. So they may not have even
it looked like he just went to the side.
Yeah.
Okay. Because in that video, it looked like literally he just walked straight into the side and fired.
I thought it looked like he came from toward the rear.
Sean, did he come up from behind or the side?
I mean, when I watched the video, he came up to the window. I didn't actually look to see if he came from the rear. He may have. So that's just a perspective angle that I wasn't paying attention. I would have to watch it again.
Yeah, that may be an explanation. Maybe it wasn't about their comfortability.
Were talking to each other, they would have been facing each other instead of really looking out the window.
Right.
So they may not have even known that somebody approached at all.
And I'll be honest.
He could have said, "Hey guys, I saw an accident," and they're like, "Really? Where at?" And then he walked up and was like, "Right here." Boom, 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 boom.
And, in today's day and age, somebody walks up. I guess maybe not in today's day and age, but used to when I was younger, somebody walks up to your window, you just kind of roll down your window. Hey, what's up? What do you want? And you don't think twice about it. Now, today, maybe you don't do that, but,
And I don't want to make it like, saying that being a police officer isn't a dangerous job because it obviously is.
Right.
But again, that goes back to if you don't have the stones to do the job, eventually someday you might die. That's the reality.
I do agree with that.
Yeah.
I do agree with that. That's kind of like the military. If you're not willing to understand the risks,
But there's a big difference in military and police work. I mean, one, you are actively going into a war zone. The other, you are going to enforce law, not necessarily expecting a war zone to come to you.
I was about to say, to be fair, a lot of people think that this is a war zone nowadays, the way it looks between the police and the citizens.
That's because the media portrays it that way, and that's
wrong.
Very
true.
They shouldn't do it that way.
Very true. Very true. But, I mean, once again, it's one of those situations that it's terrible. I think, hey.
She got a train set.
Ooh.
Oh, I thought she called me a princess. I was going to say thank you.
Well, I mean, Sean, we do know you're a princess. Let's be honest here. But, yeah. I keep going back. That got me fired up when they said that those people were out there protesting. Once again, there's a time and place. Even, it wouldn't have got me as fired up if they were across the street. If they were across the street,
they were on the same side of the street. The fact that they were blocking the drive-in for an ambulance to get in there.
And, you know, part of me, I think this speaks to, you know, and he's been on the show before, something that Mr. Toomer's told me before, you know, it's the difference between an organized protest with people that are actually intelligent and a disorganized protest where people are just like, hey, let's go fucking, I heard they're at this hospital, let's go make some noise, you know, and that's probably the difference here in the two situations. But once again, I just can't condone doing something like that. Once again, the man's family may have been in there. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
that's what's
but
fucked up about it. You know, I mean,
their family didn't.
You were trying
sign
to
up
give
for
someone
this.
medical services to save their life, and someone stops you from getting to that, you know, area that you can actually get the medication, the equipment, the things that they need. That's a line you shouldn't cross. That just, and the fact that they tried to do that, yeah, that legitimizes everything that they stand for.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, I can hear it in my head. There are certain people in this world who would say, well, they fucking killed these people. One death doesn't make up for another.
Well, I mean, we're not talking about boomers. We're talking about, you know.
No, I'm talking about there's some people in the movement that I've heard, you know, well, fuck them if they do die, you know. And I'm like, no, dude, I don't feel that way. I can't say that. I don't want anybody to die, for crying out loud.
Yeah. Cops shouldn't be killing people, and people shouldn't be killing cops.
Bingo.
Yeah, there we go.
Goes
I
both
would agree
ways.
with that.
Manic Hispanic 2020.
I don't know that I'm old enough. What's the age?
35?
Oh, really?
35?
Yeah. I guess I am old enough. Dang.
Yeah, nobody's ever actually ran that young, though. I think Kennedy was the youngest, Kennedy was 50-something, wasn't he? And they bashed the hell out of him for how
I
young
think Kennedy
he
was in his 40s,
Was he?
honestly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just know that they bashed the shit out of him for how young he was when he
Say
ran.
like, 47 or something. I was thinking 45 was.
Yeah, Joe Exotic ran when he was like 47. So.
Oh, God, Joe Exotic. Oh, God. Oh. You know, we actually were talking about that at the show this Saturday. We were talking about Joe Exotic, and somebody had it on their Apple Music. And they said, holy shit, wait, hold on. How is this released in 2020 and he's in jail? Dude looked at him and said, hey, bro, it's Club Fed. They get whatever they want.
Right.
But, I mean, you know, that's neither here nor there about Joe Exotic. I love Joe Exotic, though. So, we got cute. Yes, I love Joe Exotic. You hush up. I saw tigers, goddammit. Cuties. So, we've already talked about this on another show, but let's go ahead and look at the trailer. This is, I have some feelings on this.
Mais qu'est-ce que c'est que ça? Il se passe quoi là? Vous faisiez quoi à la guerre? On va danser au concours. Je danse avec vous. Quoi? Oh mais les gens t'ont grave kiffé que tu vois tous les likes qu'on a eu.
Vous savez où passe l'esprit du mal? Ce sont ces femmes dénudées. Pour le mariage de ton père.
Regarde comment elle te va. Tu es une femme maintenant.
T'étais où là? T'as foutu quoi? J'étais en retard. En retard? Je suis désolée. Me dis pas. Non, tu l'as volé? Oh la déglingue, j'y crois pas!
À quoi tu joues là, ami? Qui es-tu, ami? Laisse couler l'eau, ma chérie. Les péchés s'effacent avec.
Vous avez quel âge?
14. On a 14.
Okay, I'm going to start here by saying, number one, Netflix don't give two shits whether you cancel your subscription over this Cuties thing. I will say that. But number two, I'll follow that up quickly by saying I don't find this acceptable. no matter what the story is, I don't find portraying 11-year-olds like that as acceptable by any stretch of the imagination. And I do think that they could have redone it. I understand it's based on, I believe, a book or a French film. They could have redone certain aspects of it and done it not more classy, but you know what I mean. They could have done it differently.
They could have made this story without showing little girls twerking and dancing provocatively like that. This is supposed to be a story that,
a beautiful story.
Well, it's supposed to educate you and be a way to fight against the sexualization of small girls. But they sexualize small girls in the film, and so it's absolute horseshit. Now, I get that in France they have different standards than we do as far as what they show on television and movies and different things like that. I mean, what, Roman Polanski lives there? You know,
Yeah.
I think he raped a 13-year-old. So yeah, you know, they don't give a shit about that. But I am absolutely.
Sean.
No, I don't like Roman Polanski. I don't like
know.
the sexualization of little
You said-
girls.
You said they don't give a shit.
But America doesn't give a shit either. When you
I
honestly think about
the
it,
reaction to this, I think they do.
No. If America really gave a shit about the exploitation and sexualization of little girls, then they would go after Pornhub. And that doesn't happen.
Touche.
No one is saying anything about it. Ted Cruz isn't going after them for pornography of children. And we know for a fact that girls are trafficked and shown on that as well. So, you know, I think it's hypocrisy on the part of all the people that come out and say, well, we need to cancel, you know, Netflix and all this other stuff. Well, sure, yeah, do that, but let's take it to the next level. Let's attack this where it needs to be. Stop sexualization of little girls altogether.
Manic Hispanic, how do you feel about cuties?
That is the most I've seen of any of it. That's the first time I've seen any of it. I hadn't heard about it until you mentioned it earlier in a post.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, I guess I don't watch a lot of TV. Sorry.
I've seen it a lot on Facebook, and I haven't watched the show, full disclosure, but man.
Yeah, but when you start looking at stuff like that, I didn't know that about Pornhub. I didn't know Pornhub had kids on it.
Yes, it actually does, and there have been a lot of people that are advocating against Pornhub, and they want it taken down. They want the government to step in. There are victims, okay, that have been raped on film. No, but there are victims that have been raped on film that are actively being shown on Pornhub today. And they have tried to get our government to step in and say, look, this has actually happened. There's trafficking, there's sexualization, there's rape.
But
there's all sorts of things
it
happening.
as a fetish video or what have
Exactly,
you. Yeah.
exactly.
And then
because
that
America's
way they
all
can have
about making
plausible
money.
deniability. That way they can have plausible deniability. Well, I didn't know. Yeah, motherfucker, you knew.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I mean, I didn't know that about Pornhub either.
But what I was going to get into was you look at Kroger with their new Low commercial that they've got. They're using a song
I know what you're
that
talking
is
about.
meant to be played in a club where girls are dancing provocatively.
I haven't
And
seen
you
this
have
one yet.
people in family TV that are watching these people basically drop it because they're talking about the low prices that Kroger has.
Drop it.
I love you. The little cartoons.
I love you,
But they're
man.
talking about the prices
I
going
saw that
down,
for the first time
and they're like,
yesterday
"It's
watching
lower
Sunday
and
Night
lower and
Football.
lower," but I mean, if you think about it, put it in
Oh,
a
yeah.
club aspect, and it's basically the same thing.
Oh, yeah, I remember that song. And actually, that's what I heard that song, and that's what made me look up at the commercial. Because, you know, I'm like every other American. When the commercial comes on, I automatically pull up my phone and start scrolling through Facebook. But, you know, the thing is, like you said, I mean, it's so prevalent in today's society that you almost can't become, I don't want to say you become numb to it, but it takes something like this that's literally slapping you in the face with it for me to go, holy fucking shit, that's not cool. You know, so like I said, I'm not saying that I've become numb to it, but in an aspect, I guess, yeah.
But the sexualization of little girls has been happening in this country for the founding of this country.
Well, and that's what I'm saying, Sean. It's not that you become numb to it, but you do become numb to it.
I mean, you know, you can look at music, you can look at movies, you can look at television. We sexualize little girls in everything that is entertainment in this country. And what we do to women is just deplorable. We shouldn't actually use women as sexual objects, but that's a part of our society. We have a society where we entitle...
Not just women.
No, we sexualize women. We don't sexualize men like we do women. Okay, for example, let's take a rape
Not to the
scene.
same aspect. I will agree there. I will agree
let's-
there, Manicus Manning. Not to the
let's-
same aspect.
Let's
Men
take
are
a rape
not
scene, for example. When a
sexualized to
man
the
gets
same
raped
aspect.
on film, it's a horrific thing. It's very tragic. It's a horrible experience when you watch this on film.
Pulp
you know,
Fiction, anybody?
Yeah, exactly. But when a woman gets raped on film, it's sexualized. You know, because that's what men want to see. I mean, everything about our entertainment industry is designed for men, whether it's movies, whether it's film, whether it's porn, whatever it is. It's all made for men. And the sexualization of women, it's a rampant pandemic that has been going on in this country since we've been able to have an entertainment industry.
And I can agree, Manicus Manning, that it would be that women are more exploited than men. I mean, and I would agree that, you know, marketing these days. Let's look at Hardee's commercials, for example. Are they necessarily marketed towards females? Or do you sit there and look at these Hardee's commercials with these chicks with these big old balloons and
I guess I haven't been paying attention to Hardy's commercials.
You haven't seen these Hardee's? Oh my
Jessica
goodness.
Simpson.
Yeah,
PBR, man, I don't watch a lot of commercials.
Okay.
I mean, that was a Super Bowl commercial a few years ago. So
Yeah, but like she's sitting there in a bikini eating this burger, and you're like,
and that was their campaign
know what
for
you're
like
doing.
4 years straight. It was nothing but bikini-clad women trying to wash cars, selling a burger. I mean, it was pretty disgusting. Like, hey, have a burger and check out these naked chicks getting wet. Yeah.
To be fair, I found humor, but at the same time, I understand your point too, Sean. And the reason why I find humor is the over the top nature of it. It's like, motherfucker, did you really just show a pair of titties to sell a burger?
Well,
Excuse my language.
If you really want to be honest about it, and this is as honest as I can be, women in this country are only valuable as long as they are fuckable. And that's a disgusting reality of the American society.
You know, that's actually interesting you say that because, I mean, and I had forgotten about this till I watched a recap of the 2016 presidential election cycle. That even came up with Carly Fiorina and Donald Trump. I remember he said something about her looks and how she wasn't a very pleasurable looking woman. And, it's stuff like that, like I said, you almost become numb to, but then you go back and you look at it and you're like, ooh, that didn't age well.
It's been going for years. I mean, it's such an ingrained part of society. It's like racism in America.
Which, I mean, to be fair, Sean,
people get pissed off, you know?
To be fair, Sean, in 10 years, we're going to look back at these episodes of The American Idiots, and I'm sure we're going to look at shit and be like, ooh, that didn't age well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Come on.
I mean, I will have, but, I don't know about anybody else.
But no, I mean, there is hindsight's 2020 with a lot of shit. Oh, one of our Steelers is getting carried off 26-10 though. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, they're cleaning up.
I think that game's over.
Take the hat off because the NFC failed me tonight, but that's okay.
Hey, you still have the no wait, it's an AFC matchup in the second matchup. Go Broncos, by the way. Fuck the Titans. But no, I got to say that because my boss is a Denver Broncos fan. But no, I mean, once again, I think a lot of it is America becomes numb to shit, and we're used to the sexualizing. It's
just like violence.
I can use The Apprentice. The Apprentice was actually, the first season was one of my favorite shows to watch. And I had it on DVD, and I recently went back and watched it. A lot of shit in there didn't age well. But no, I recently went back and watched it, and they, actually Donald Trump got onto the all-female team in I think it was the second or third week when it was females versus males. And he got onto them for using their, assets to drive bargains. So, it's one of those things that, it was even going on back then, and some women it appears,
embrace it and
use that to get through it. Yeah, very true. It's just one of those things that, you go through it, and, it's unfortunate when you actually look at it in context and actually focus on it. You're like, oh, fuck, that's bad. But if I see it on TV, for example, like Cutie slaps you in the damn face with it. There's no avoiding it. But
Brooke Shields did a film when she was 11 years old where she got raped and did a nude scene back in the early 80s, and no one threw a fit like they are about Cuties. No
really?
One. Yeah, I mean, but that was back in the early 80s. I mean,
America was more conservative
to shut the fuck up
then.
and bend over back then. I mean, that was from the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. That's the way the reality of womanhood
Sean Castleberry.
I'm honest about it. I mean, I'm not going to fucking sugarcoat it or say the way it is, but women have a bad rap in this country, and that's what they're expected to do. You serve a fucking man, you be pretty for a man, you bend over for a man. That's American reality, and that's the reality for most women in the world.
Let's be honest, even in the 90s with Hillary Clinton and Bill, people were like, ooh, I wonder if she's going to leave him. And kind of even, saying, I can't believe she isn't leaving. Or is
anyone asking Melania that?
Leave him. Well, I mean, I don't think Melania is going anywhere. I don't know. Who knows? I'm pretty sure Donald's probably gotten more blowjobs in the Oval Office than Bill ever thought about. But, it is what it is.
I mean, that's an accusation you can't prove. I mean, I wouldn't say that.
Oh, no, absolutely. But, I mean, it's the Donald. Come on.
Even I wouldn't say that. Come on, man.
Even you wouldn't? Oh, shit. That's
I wouldn't say that.
I just hit a new low. Fuck. I just hit a new low.
I don't try to say anything unless there's actual a reason to say it. I mean, unless Mike Pence is blowing him, then I would believe it.
No, I think Mike Pence probably sits up at night and shocks the gay out of him.
You said that. I did not say that. You said that.
I mean, I'm just saying, the man supports conversion therapy. He's a piece of shit human being.
I'm not gay. That's Mike Pence, right?
Pretty much. I mean, the man supports conversion therapy. Come on now.
I know, that shit's wrong.
Yes, absolutely. But, okay. God damn it. We really... Poor Manic Hispanic here has just been looking at us with these judgy eyes all night.
He does it every night. Yeah.
I've got no part of that conversation.
Well, I mean, you don't know the history of how we've always been doing this. I mean, we've been doing this for almost 10 years now.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Holy shit.
In front of gas stations, bowling alleys, up at the VA, different places. Right. It's funny how we've always found a way to communicate our little political debates everywhere. And now we get to do it on camera.
Yeah. It's fun, too. It's fun, and now we've brought you into our crazy little family.
Yeah.
Remember Bible Man and how much fun we used to have with him?
Oh,
or Old Navy?
My goodness.
He was a favorite of mine. Yeah.
I'm surprised you haven't seen him in a while. I think he still hangs out around there.
I saw him about 5 months ago, and I think he had bugs in his beard, so I kind of kept my distance.
Wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised. He was a good guy, or he is a good guy. I'm assuming he's still alive.
I mean, we bring up all these guys, and I miss Brad. Sometimes I wish Brad were still with us.
Yeah. Okay, NFL Week 1 highlights. I couldn't find a highlight things short enough, so we're going to do the Sunday night football game in which the Manic Hispanics Dallas Cowboys fell to the Los Angeles Rams. And we'll talk about the different forms of protest and things we saw yesterday, which were actually really kind of creative and stuff, the different stuff I saw. So here we go.
Becker puts it down. High enough. Better. And good enough. Sloman kicking off. Returnable. Fielded on the
very good man-to-man player.
2nd and 1. They do a good job keeping Donald out of the picture. And the pass is caught here by the tight end Blake Jarwin, who really came on at the end of Prescott again over the middle. It's a gain of 13, hitting Michael Gallup.
Contact one because let's hope he's all right.
Tight end. Prescott backing up, throws, hits
offense, number 86, 10-yard penalty. Repeat.
Thought that's who was going to get picked. He's got to be a little better actor than that.
1st and 20. That pass is. They took the run off. And Elliott cannot get in. So he is stopped short. 2nd and goal. Plowing ahead and getting into the end zone for the touchdown. And the extra point will give them in front. And he just does, just inside the right upright.
It's almost hard to believe Dallas is in front, aren't they?
You know, apart from that, here we are. Malcolm Brown.
Okay, so apparently it was only half highlights. Maybe that's why it was so short. But no, beautiful stadium, first of all. That fucking stadium for $5.3 billion. And yes, I said billion with a B. That better be fucking beautiful. But no, it's crazy looking, I'll tell you that much. I can't imagine. I remember the first time I pulled up to Dallas Cowboys Stadium to watch the Hogs play Texas A&M. I literally remember thinking to myself, I was like, holy shit, it looks like a spaceship landed in the middle of Arlington.
They spent $1.3 billion on that stadium, and they spent $5.3 billion on the LA Rams and LA Chargers stadium. It's massive. It is everything. I mean, Jerry Jones was there talking about it last night. He's like, this is everything an NFL stadium should be. He's jealous as fuck right now,
Yeah, he is. Well, I mean, think about it. 10 years ago, we were saying the same shit about his stadium. Right? But, I mean, one of the cooler aspects about that stadium, or at least to me, because I'm kind of a little bit of a nerd as far as buildings and shit, they actually, 90% of that building is below ground because of the flight path of LAX. And they didn't want to interfere with the flight path of the planes, so they had to drill a hole in the ground. And I think literally just the top section of bleachers in this building is 4 or 5 sections deep of bleachers or seats. I think just the very top of it is actually above ground. I think when you walk in, you're at the top of the stadium. Very beautiful stadium. But getting into kind of some of the protest situations, one of the cooler ones I saw yesterday was the Atlanta Falcons and the Seattle Seahawks. Instead of kneeling during the national anthem, they actually did the opening kickoff. And as soon as the Seahawks player kicked off, everybody on the field took a knee. That was pretty cool. Once again, it seems like
for Senator Lewis.
It seems like, too, that it seems like they're trying to find ways to avoid kneeling during the national anthem as kind of a, hey, yeah, we're going to protest, but we're also going to not protest during the national anthem. I don't know if that's something the NFL has asked them to try to do or what, because the last thing I knew, Roger Goodell was like, fucking protest, it's on. But whether, the Pittsburgh Steelers tonight, they all stood for the national anthem. I saw Mike Tomlin have his hand over his heart, just like normal. But they actually had a banner in front of them, and the cameras never showed this, that I don't know what it said, but it obviously spoke about the racial injustice in the country. And then the New York Giants as a whole team did take a knee during the national anthem. One thing, though, that I saw last night that I saw again tonight was the, I guess they call it the Black National Anthem or something, that a lot of people were up in arms about being played. Literally, it's a promo video with Alicia Keys, and the two different networks and two different, situations both played the same video. So, I mean, it's actually kind of a cool song, too. And the video is just about, isn't necessarily just the song. It's about, hey, this is what's going on in the country. This is why we're doing this, etc., etc. It's actually, if you watch it, it's a really cool story to watch. And I had never heard of this Black National Anthem before actually seeing that the NFL was going to allow players to or they were going to play it before every game. Obviously, Manic Hispanic, you said you didn't get to watch any football yesterday, but Sean, what did you think?
We had things going on at the house, some projects that we're getting into, redoing the bathroom, building a fence.
Okay, nice. Getting a new bathroom.
Yeah.
Adult things. You're an adult when you get excited about a new bathroom. I'm just saying that is actually pretty cool.
Dude, I get new curtains for my living room and I get excited. That's awesome.
But Sean, did you see anything? That struck you as pretty cool as far as the protests or the tributes or anything that you want to point out?
The head coach of the Seattle Seahawks sat on a bench with his shirt and the message that it said. Not only is he the head coach, he's a part owner of the team. And I thought that was really cool that he was actually going to sit out there and actually let them, take a photo op of him actually supporting what was going on right now. So, yeah, I like that a lot. Not everybody has to kneel. I don't think everybody should be required to kneel, but if anybody wants to kneel, then so be it. Let them kneel. It is not disrespectful to the flag or to veterans or anything like that. It's just it's a way to just say, hey, look, there's a cause I believe in, and I'm going to do this peacefully, and that should be accepted just for that alone.
Okay, we actually have one of our co-hosts here that I'm going to bring on, but I must say, Fox, it looks like it looks like you're hiding. Looks like you're like in the middle of something. Like, you can't see me. I'm hiding.
I had two cameras earlier, so yeah, don't even, yeah.
I have been in meetings like all weekend and all day today, and I crawled into bed. I forgot that this was going on for 3 hours and not 2. And I was like, crap, it's already over. I'll just crawl into bed. And then Sean sends me a message, and I'm like, fuck, okay. I'm not going to get out of bed to go get my mask. So this is what you got.
It's all good. I just saw that. I saw you were sideways, and I was like, is she like hiding someplace?
Is that better?
You're fine. You're fine. We actually, shockingly, I'm kind of happy you're here because we got through a lot of topics. There is one I want to go back and go over with you. But right now we're talking about the week 1 in the NFL and kind of the protests and things like that we've seen and some of the cooler forms of how they've, individually as teams decided to protest differently. I was talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers tonight. They all stood for the national anthem but had a message in front of them. I don't know why the cameras avoided it, but the cameras did avoid the banner that they had in front of them, but it had a message. Sean mentioned that the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks was out there in a shirt. I forget what you said it said, Sean.
I don't know what it said. I think
it said like something like "End Racism Now" or something. Carol's shirt.
The Seattle Seahawks. Yeah, it did say that. Yeah, you're right. It did say that, and that's why it was like really cool because it was like a universal thing. I really enjoyed that. I thought that was really cool. I think what they had above, when they pulled that banner out, it was like something like "fuck Whitey," and that's why they couldn't show it on TV.
Did they really?
No.
No. I was like, damn, Pittsburgh.
No, that's a bad joke. That was me. Yeah, that was just me.
I said, what?
I said that just for Antonio because I know that he would love that.
Fuck Whitey.
I mean, but like facts though.
It's been one of those nights, Fox.
Right.
It's been one of those nights. You can ask
Yeah.
Manic Hispanic down there. We've been cracking stupid ass jokes all night.
Yeah, we have.
but-
Yeah.
It's been the frat boys and me.
Yeah, Michael threatened to show us chocolate starfish earlier.
No, I did not. You, sir. You.
Is this what happens when me and Polly
sir.
aren't here?
It is.
That is what
That
happens.
is exactly
Yeah.
what happens. We need you guys. You guys should feel special. We actually took time out of the show to say that we missed y'all because, good Lord, we were just falling off the tracks.
Yep.
But no, we're basically just talking about the protests in the NFL. And, you know, one of the cooler things I told Sean and Manic Hispanic here as you were coming in about was the Lift Every Voice. You know, I know a lot of people were making a big deal about playing the Black National Anthem. But it was really cool the way they did it. They made it a video package that basically explained everything that's going on in the country, so on and so forth. Alicia Keys, beautiful in her rendition. And, you know, I'm here for it. I think it's absolutely cool that the NFL is doing it. I think it's about 4 years too late. But I think it's pretty cool that the NFL is, even though they're late, at least they're finally arrived to the party type of situation for me. How do you feel about it, Fox?
Well, I've always been someone who's been more interested in the arts, so I don't really have any connection to sports at all. However, I have a little bit of knowledge regarding like the economic and racial makeup of professional, like people who get into professional sports teams, like the players. And so, like we're talking about like people who are primarily of color coming from like middle class poor families, and they go and they play sports. I'm not gonna say usually because they're not good at anything else, like a lot of my artist friends are, because I come from a school where like the football team had to keep like a 3.0 average. So, but you know, there's this like stereotype of like the dumb jock or whatever.
Right.
But so it makes sense to me why like racial inequality would be an important thing in sports, especially where like, I mean, and I don't know a lot about sports history, so like feel free to like check me if I'm wrong, but especially
Oh, no, you're fine.
when a lot of this started with like Colin Kaepernick in the NBA, which is primarily black.
Well, it was the NFL, but yeah,
Okay,
Colin
so I
Kaepernick
don't
did
know
start all of this.
sports.
Oh, you're fine.
Know that like Colin. Okay, maybe he is he's a football player. I don't even fucking know.
Yes, he is.
What's the NBA? What's the NFL? What are these things?
The NBA.
I can understand why like racial issues are important topics in sports, but literally besides like just that statement, I don't know enough about sports to form any type of like educated opinion on.
Right.
I think that like, they're citizens too,
and
pay taxes too, and also vote. So I know a lot of people are like, just play sports. Don't get involved in your the entertainment.
Shut up and dribble.
Entertainer, like no, these are human
Or
beings, and they're
or you could actually go even darker and say, "Just dance, monkey, dance."
Sean Castleberry.
I'm not.
Am I?
I would never say that, but
Well, I will say that just because that's the reality of America.
minstrelly, if that's the point that you're making, yes, it can be very minstrelly.
Yes. Yes.
So, I mean, yeah, I hell yeah, protest, like, you know,
Absolutely.
like just
Absolutely.
I don't know what to say other than like, yeah, fuck yeah. Didn't they like shut down? Like, didn't the game stop or something? Like they actually like there were some teams that actually stopped playing
There was in the NBA. There was
Literally don't know about sports.
in the NBA. There was a situation where that happened. It was right after the gentleman was shot. And once again, I'm terrible with names, but the gentleman was shot 7 times in the back. The NBA voted to suspend games, I believe, for 2 days.
Yes.
And they were actually talking about shutting down the season, but they ultimately voted against it. Woo! Steelers won 26-16. Anyway, with that being said, awesome. With that being said, absolutely, I'm here for all of it. And one thing that I forgot to point out, which the NFL is usually really particular about, everybody has to have the same, gear, and you can't be an individual. It's a uniform. They actually have been putting the names of the victims of police brutality on the back of their helmets as well. I saw that. That was a nice touch as well. Manic Hispanic, how do you feel about all these? Are you one of the screw the NFL things?
Some of the things that I do disagree with that I've heard said is the inequality in sports. When you've got players that go to the college level and after one season or one semester, basically, they get picked up by a pro team and they decide not to stay and get their education, I don't understand how you can say that there's inequality in that sport. Not to mention, most of these people are being well paid to play a game.
Well, I mean, let's be fair here and say this, though. As far as the college sports, that's a whole nother topic, because we can talk about how the NCAA uses people for 3 hours in and of itself. But
so when you look at college players that come from the high school level to college, and then if they're lucky enough to get into the NFL, that's less than 1% of all players across the entire nation. Less than 1%.
But they are getting their school paid for because they get scholarships for a sport.
But it's less than 1%.
But how much money? How much more money is being made by that university?
Or the NBA, or the Major League Baseball? Less than 1% make it. So you have all these people that play these professional sports in college. The colleges make billions of dollars off of their hard work, off of their athleticism, and a lot of these guys get injured for the rest of their lives.
Well, and thank God the NCAA are finally bowed to punishment, and now they are allowed to profit off of their own image. That just came out. That just came out, I believe, this last summer. But yeah. I mean, I think that I used to be, hey, they're getting a college education. Why the fuck are you complaining about not making money? But then when I started looking at the numbers, and I'm like, my God, the Razorbacks make billions off of these kids.
And think about other dog hairs everywhere. I think about other areas in universities, like my nose is just so itchy. Other areas in universities that I could get a scholarship in theater at a university, but people no one what would be a good the conservatory the New York, I think it's the New York Conservatory. Basically, it's a really, really big art school. Or no, Boston Conservatory. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. We just call it the Conservatory, but everyone in the theater community just automatically knows what you're talking about. They bring in that whatever this school is that I'm thinking of, and schools like AMDA, Academy for Musical and Dramatic Arts. They bring in more money for their schools than sports do, but you still don't see the same conversations being had about students in these shows.
That's a good point.
You see the conversations being had about students in sports.
Right.
Ooh.
And you bring up a valid point too about in sports, you're doing things that could literally get you fucked up for life. I'm only talking theater because it's the thing that I know. In theater, we actually have to have we have to have certified stage combat people come and do instruction anytime there's stage combat. We have intimacy instructors. There's so many levels. Here's my question: is there a union for sports players?
No.
Yes.
Well, for sports players, yes. Professional sports
Yes.
players, yes. The NCAA,
No.
college, no. Because they pretty much until this past summer, it was, hey, you're getting a college education, be fucking happy and shut your mouth.
Right.
Okay. Because I know that there's like the actors union and there's actors equity, which is based out of New York, and it's primarily theater, and then there's SAG-AFTRA, which is like film and TV, which is based out of LA.
So each major
curious.
each major sport has their players association, and the players association has been wonderful for professional sports. They've got things like pensions and things like that, but
collegiate
like
athletes get nothing. Yeah.
So pretty much, I know of a story of a kid here at Arkansas that got injured and literally can never play football again. Luckily, and I will, applaud the University of Arkansas. This is not the norm. They allowed him to continue his education, and free of charge, and they also paid all of his medical bills for him.
That is rare.
Ever. So thank you, Arkansas. The University of Arkansas, that is a rare occasion, though. If you get hurt on the field in college, you're pretty much, for lack of a better term, you're pretty much fucked.
And the difference between, arts and sports, when you're playing football, basketball, baseball, you're putting everything that you have into it physically. And well, no. What I'm saying is,
let me tell you something.
But what I'm saying is that one injury takes them out forever. Well, I get what you're saying, but what I was going to say is that
12 hours.
Yes, but when I am just an artist, not talking theater, I can piss in a jar and put a crucifix in it and get $1 million for that. Okay. That's a whole totally different thing where I won't get injured for the rest of my life, and I can actually get paid for different arts and keep continuing.
Right.
Once you get an injury in college, that's
if you blow out your knee, you're screwed.
Yes, you're done. That's the end of your career.
I would also say, and I'm not sure where this sits like on the political spectrum, but I get the impression like. You said that it's not typical for like a university to take care of their
it's not
student athletes. It's not.
So let's talk like professional athletes. Like a lot of professional athletes make a good chunk of money from like advertising and like doing other things that have nothing to do with sports. I know as an artist, like if you blow out your knee as a dancer, everything's over. Like everything's over. Like they like. Because those things are so niche that even the advertising that you would be doing would likely be for like dance products or like dance related things. But like now you can't dance anymore. And so I guess I just don't see, I don't know, sports are so favored by the masses that I feel like
they are
very true.
Outside of like the racial inequalities within the sports industry itself, I guess I just don't see a lot of like
you're right.
I don't know the word like prejudice. I guess against sports.
You're right. You're right.
I'm sorry, y'all keep shitting on the arts like all the time and cutting the arts programs. So
no, you're absolutely right.
Fuck sports.
You're absolutely right.
Fuck your pigskin. Fuck like.
And
no.
I mean, I'll be honest. I don't think unless it's an actual art school, there's such thing as a full ride for arts. Unless it's an art school, I could be wrong.
That would be correct. Even here at UCA. They're so I don't know how much y'all know about UCA, but they're the home of the Arkansas Shakespeare Theater, which is actually a nationally recognized like Shakespeare theater. A lot of their participants are equity. They bring in a pretty good chunk of money. They have people from all over the nation that participate in their shows. Even with that, I think the only thing like it only covers, I don't know, it was like a couple grand. And that was it. Like, that's not even going to pay a semester of school.
Well, and I mean, even within sports, too, I'll tell you this much. Even within sports, I mean, football's obviously king at the University of Arkansas, so you get full rides there. Even in baseball, something as, popular as baseball, they have no full rides. In women's sports, it's rare to see a real a full
Yeah,
ride.
women's
It's
sports are
really
even worse.
rare to see a full ride. And
Yeah.
you know, people argue people argue that people argue that women's sports don't bring in as much or what have you. Razorback Stadium sells out if it's the Razorbacks, period. So I don't necessarily buy into that. Manic Hispanic, you've been kind of quiet on this. What do you think about the differences in how college athletes and artists and
for me to be a part of.
no, you've actually brought in a good point, especially treating a college athlete different than a theater person, or because I guess I could call you an athlete of some of a certain aspect, but
The answer would be an athlete, yeah.
Right, absolutely. So, how do you feel on this? Do you think it should be equal across the board? Do you think you like the system we have?
I'm not sure how much money the art programs are bringing in. Football stadiums get filled up. Basketball stadiums get filled up. I know that there are people that go to the arts when things are
but you're not
done.
putting 70,000 people in that theater.
Right.
You're right.
Typically, most of those theaters don't hold near as many people as a basketball venue or a
You're
football
right on that.
venue.
You are right on that. I think the largest Broadway house only holds 1,900 people.
Oh wow, I did not know that.
Yeah,
Well, I
most
think it's a
theaters
sad
are
fact.
very small.
I think it's a sad fact that the highest paid job in the state of Arkansas is the head coach of the
Absolutely
Arkansas
more than
Razorback
a
football team.
surgeon. More than a surgeon, a life-saving individual.
Now here's my question, because I said I don't know dick about sports, so I don't know how money is allocated. I know that a lot of sports programs get private funding from alumni and
Yes,
things of that
absolutely.
nature. So I don't know how University of Arkansas allocates their funds, or I don't know how any school allocates their funds. But when you are a public university, you get state funding and all the other things that all public universities get. Those funds, and I don't know if it's already done this way, and if it is, I'll just shut the fuck up and never mention it again. But it seems to me that all this money that gets brought in by sports could kind of stand alone by themselves without any state funding and without all this other shit. So it doesn't make any sense to me.
I would agree.
Money that is given in grants to the school should go to sports when it's already being funded.
That's a damn good point.
It should go to better the school overall, not just those specific sports.
That's a damn good point,
there's people
Fox.
that make decisions on the budget. I'm not saying
Right.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but schools will get grants of X amount of dollars, and then they have a budget meeting that decides where that money goes.
Well, and to be fair, absolutely. And to be fair, I think as far as we talked about the highest paid state employee being the head football coach of the Arkansas Razorbacks. Yes, in theory he is, but I think a lot of his money is covered by the Razorback Foundation, which is what you alluded to, a privately funded organization of alumni and boosters. I'm sure you're familiar with booster clubs. Boosters. Essentially alumni that likes to throw money at the Razorbacks. And they get their name on a seat or maybe on a stadium or something. And bingo bango. So yeah, I think, but I don't know how that would work. That would actually be interesting to delve in, because I'm sure the Razorback or the University of Arkansas, I automatically refer to them as the Razorbacks. I'm sure the University of Arkansas's records are actually probably public knowledge. So I wonder, that would be interesting to delve into and see how grants are allocated. Because I know,
I'm sure you could FOIA it because they're a public university.
Yeah, that's actually interesting.
I think grants have to be specifically pushed towards certain areas because your grant writers write them specifically to get funds for
Different
specific
programs.
things.
Okay.
I mean, that may be true.
So
I don't
your
know.
grants have to go to specific areas.
Right.
I know. I guess my next question would be and this is just a problem I have with universities, period. I don't play sports, so why am I paying $300 a semester for a stadium I don't even fucking use?
Touche.
And I'm talking University of Arkansas is a unique case because it's the big kahuna in
Right.
Arkansas, and like they play like Razorback fans are crazy people. Sorry if y'all are Razorback fans, but Razorback fans are
I'm a
crazy
Razorback
people.
fan, and I'm a
Like-
crazy people.
Like I lived in not in Seattle, but like no one would know the name of the town I lived in, so I just say Seattle. I lived in Seattle for like 3 years, and you say Woo Pig Suey, and if there's an Arkansan anywhere in that state, they'll
hear it.
like
Yeah.
right back. Like Razorback fans are fucking psycho. So
Yeah, we are.
Arkansas is unique, but they're bringing. Like, what was it you said? Like billions of dollars. Like
I wouldn't doubt it.
that's just like a disgusting level of money. Like I don't think.
Oh no.
Like you cannot even conceive what $1 billion is. Like that's a lot of money. Like I don't even, how do you even spend that kind of money at the university? Like even if you could buy every single person on that team a Ferrari and a house, and you still would not spend $1 billion.
Hold on.
That's tons of money. There's no reason. There's no rhyme or reason why any tuition or like why any fees would have to be charged for sports related things, unless in my opinion, they should be paying for the students' uniforms and all their gear anyway. I don't know if they do or don't, but they should.
So,
don't.
So this will be dwarfed by the Super Bowl. I can guarantee you that this number will be dwarfed by the Super Bowl. But Fox, to give you an idea, the 2020 National Championship, the most expensive ticket that was sold, one ticket, $5,559.
That's so gross to me.
It is gross.
It's so now. What I will say is, it's hard for me to disparage. I don't disparage sports players, and I don't want to disparage sports in general because
right.
we have a lot of kids from urban areas who have.
It keeps them out of trouble and stuff.
That was their only way they were going to.
Right.
I don't want to disparage it too much, but also billions of dollars, billions of fucking dollars,
billions.
and let's look at who's actually profiting off of that. The
Jerry
players
Jones
are getting millions, no doubt. They're still making more than an educator would make, and that's another argument for another time.
That's another thing too. When you look at all the coliseums that are built for all the different sports teams and everything, usually the cities pay for that. LA, for example, yes, most of the cities pay for most of the stadiums. LA is a really weird exception to the rule where there was a lot of financial backing. That was a $5 billion stadium. The city hardly paid for any of that at all. But in San Francisco, a $1.3 billion facility for the San Francisco 49ers, that was paid for by the taxpayers in the city of San Francisco.
Oh my God, we need to abolish sports while we're abolishing police. Holy shit.
Yeah, but that happens all over the country. Most stadiums are built on the taxpayers' dime because they see the revenue that's actually going to come in, and it's millions and millions and sometimes billions of dollars depending on the team.
Yeah, but that doesn't go back to the community members that paid for
it. No, it does not. It goes to the owners.
This is a little bit old. This is a 7-year-old figure, but I'll drop this on you. In 2013, the highest paid Arkansas State employee was Brett Bielema. He made $3.2 million. The second highest paid was the basketball coach. He made $2.2 million.
Yep.
The third highest was finally a surgeon, and he made $1.1 million.
So my question, you said, was this the highest paid state employee?
State employees.
Okay, so
state employee.
State employee. That means that his wages are being paid by tax dollars, correct?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's fucking ridiculous to me. I'm sorry, y'all got all these millions of dollars. Why can't
I say state employee?
What?
I say state employee, but technically he is. I think a lot of his funds are paid by independent donations.
But this is where capitalism fails society by paying these extravagant amounts of money to one person, that doesn't deserve it. I mean, you're a football coach. Do you deserve millions of dollars to do that? And here's what's said. You can be a successful NFL coach and actually have one bad season, get fired, go to a college like the University of Arkansas and actually make more money than you would in the NFL. It's
To
fucking
be fair, it's not just coaches either. Patrick Mahomes just became the highest paid NFL quarterback. His guarantee, $503 million.
For what, 10 years?
I should have been
10.
kicking a ball when I was 2. Like,
Yeah, for 10 years. Yeah. And
That's
there's
what,
no
$50 million roughly?
But there's no guarantee he will make it through that 10 years. He could have a concussion. He could have
But
a
the
knee injury.
503 is guaranteed. The 503 is...
There will be something. There's going to be some kind of clause in there for an injury if he gets hurt, just like Fernandez. You and I just did
Hernandez,
this. Yeah, with the whole clear and convincing that we were just doing. There will be a clause in there. If he gets injured, he will not receive all of that money.
Oh, yeah, guaranteed. Guaranteed. They protect their investment. And when I say that, they literally look at these human beings as investments.
I mean,
They're nothing but cattle.
Yeah, that's capitalism for you.
Yes, it is. Yes.
And I mean, we established last week that, you know, the only jobs that matter are the jobs that are necessary for survival. So that means we get to abolish sports, right? Right.
Ooh, hold on now. I don't know about all that now.
We could abolish sports, but the problem is, and this goes all the way back to Rome, you have to satisfy the masses. You have to make sure that you entertain them, and if you don't, they will revolt. And football,
also, like, I mean, there's also just value in general in like the premise of sports, like team building and
something,
working. Like, I just like the industry, like as an industry,
Oh, yeah.
This is garbage.
I'll blow your mind, Fox. I don't know if you know this. The NFL doesn't pay taxes.
They don't.
The NFL makes billions of dollars and doesn't pay taxes.
The NFL, the NBA, the NHL, none of the major professional sports in this country pay any taxes at all whatsoever. Nothing. Nothing.
They are a 501(c)(3).
They're like Amazon. It's a loophole. They can get away with paying no taxes at all. Their CEOs, their owners make billions and billions of dollars. And guess what? Fuck America. They're going to be as rich as they can. Their kids are going to be rich. Yeah.
Swear to God.
It's like the mafia. That's what capitalism is. Capitalism is just, it's a mafia. That's the entire system.
The NFL literally pays $0.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine if they taxed the NFL, mind you? How much we would have in surplus? Just the NFL.
If we only tax professional sports in churches, we would have such a surplus in this country. We'd never have to worry about anything.
Like, I'm trying to figure out how it is. Like, I can understand religious institutions, whatever. Okay, Amazon, like tax loopholes because corporations, because capitalism. But I'm trying to figure out how it is that the NFL is a 501(c)(3). Like, what do they, like, what is your mission statement?
They do
nonprofit.
They do charitable things, but there's no way they should be listed as a 501(c)(3).
Well, I mean, like, there are corporations that do charitable things.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
What?
I don't know the loophole, but yeah, Sean was the first one who turned me on to that, and I was like, the fuck?
This is my new thing. I'm gonna be preaching against like fucking sports industry now. Y'all are fucking y'all got me fucked up. This is crazy. Like, my mind is legitimately blown.
No, it's been this way since the founding of sports. Yeah.
Just these shitty corporations.
It's insane.
Where there's a bunch of fucking coaches that because I know that like you can you trade people like they're trading cards among teams and like buy and sell human beings effectively. Like it's legalized human trafficking. It's like
I mean, yeah. I never thought about it that way.
I hate to say it.
That can go with any employment. I mean,
true.
I talked to my boss whenever he was interested in hiring me, and I negotiated my pay. And at the end of the day, if he didn't think I was going to bring in that kind of money, he wouldn't have paid me as much as we agreed on.
That's a good point.
But you personally aren't going to make him billions of dollars just on your name.
Oh, I'm talking specific. Like, for example, like if I'm a cashier at Walmart and there's another cashier at Target, Walmart and Target aren't going to like trade me. Like they're not going to buy me. Like that's just like not something that happens in like any other industry ever. It only happens.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, and trust me, Fox, I don't want you feeling sorry.
Like cashier, but
you can
got
feel
sales representatives and stuff like that.
Fox, you can feel sorry for the college players. I don't feel sorry for the NFL players. They're making millions and millions of dollars.
I don't feel sorry.
They can uproot their families.
I'm just thinking about like just like that idea that you don't have autonomy. Like, because isn't it that, like, once you sign a contract, like, that contract can be bought and sold with or without your consent?
Oh, they do have such thing as no trade clauses, but yeah.
But, like, if you don't have one of those, like...
Yeah,
like,
if you don't have one of those, if you're a nobody, yeah, you can be cut at any moment.
You can't say anything about it.
Let's put it this way, Fox. A guy was cut this year, and, I mean, good reason, but a guy was cut this year for sneaking his girlfriend into the hotel. Into the team hotel.
Because of COVID.
Because of COVID.
The lowest paid players in the NFL only make $100,000. They make $100,000. Yeah, but it's 6 figures. But it's $100,000 a year compared to $50 million by the best players. Yeah,
absolutely. And I mean, once again, I'm not here to say we should even that across the board either, though. Yeah, right. Please come give me $100,000. But no, I mean, I'm not
on Facebook and make this coin. Like
I'm not for saying that Patrick Mahomes should be paid as much as his third string backup. But, you know, at the same time, $503 million is a lot of fucking money. But I mean, Fox, I'll throw this number at you. Me and Sean and Manic Hispanic didn't blink, but the Los Angeles Rams, literally, he owner financed this sucker, so he literally paid for everything, but just spent $5.3 billion with a B, $5.3 billion on a new stadium to be built in LA for his team. Who has $5.3 billion laying around? Like, yo, I think I'm just going to go build a stadium today.
Like, I'm just like, I mean, my overarching, like, the bigger picture shit is I'm sitting here like...
We're blowing Fox's mind right now.
Yeah. For, like, these people to kick a ball around on TV. And
very true.
We have people starving in the streets and dying because they can't receive medical care. But we're paying millions of dollars for you to kick around a ball.
Before 2030, we will see a contract for a professional player in this country for $1 billion.
Oh, guaranteed. We're already had a $500 million. I guarantee you.
In the next 10 years, we will see $1 billion contract.
And you know, athletes. While we're talking about the arts, athletes are a lot like actors in that they do have agents that negotiate these contracts. It's quite a process. You know, Dak Prescott, for example, right now, the quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, and I have a hard time sympathizing with these young men who are like, well, I'm the third quarterback and I shouldn't be paid my $20 million. I deserve $40 million. Bitch, sit down and enjoy your $20 million.
I can't afford to feed my family on $75 million a year.
But you know,
I would say that, like, comparatively speaking, like yes, no one should be sitting there like with all that money in the first place. Is kind of my position. But by the same token, if you're talking about an owner has billions in this and you're getting like $2 million, like that's exploitation. Like that's
very true. And that's the big argument that the NCAA, you know, I'll straight out say it. I don't care who agrees or disagrees with me. The NCAA is pure exploitation. Literally, until this year, they did not allow a college athlete to have a job. They did not allow them to, or else they would lose their what do they call it? Amateur status. They could not have anybody buy them a meal. They could not have.
How you take a girl out on or anybody? How you take them out on a date?
Because these colleges would give them money on the side. They'd buy their parents' cars. It was this whole corrupt system where the colleges literally acted like Tony Soprano, and they would show up. They would show up to their parents' house and be like,
They were
"Hey, mom,
buying the talent.
here's a brand new BMW, and we're gonna give your kid
If your kid comes and plays
$10,000."
for our school.
Right. That's
I'll
exactly
give you the
how it
best
works.
example I've ever heard of. There was a young man in Sylvan Hills that there is a rumor. I've never seen anything confirmed about this, but there is a rumor. There was a young man named Archie Griffin here in Sylvan Hills, in Sherwood, Arkansas, that played basketball. And when he was being recruited by one of the top programs in the country, he went to dinner with John Calipari, the head coach of that school. And the bill for the restaurant was $50, I think. He left an envelope and walked away from the table with $50,000 sitting in that envelope.
I want to just have someone hand me $50,000. Like,
I mean, in the 80s,
I'll dance for $50,000.
that's right.
In the
Maybe
80s,
a little ass too. Like, I'm just saying.
in the 80s, people were, you know, it was prevalent to hear about $100 handshakes, where you'd go to shake somebody's hand after a game and there'd be $100 in your hand afterwards.
Well,
that's why there's rules, but they almost went to the extreme with. They did go to the extreme with them.
Abolish the NCAA. Abolish.
I completely agree with that.
Like, oh my God, I'm so. Wow.
We've blown poor Fox's mind on sports tonight, Sean.
He wasn't even here to hear about cuties tonight. I'm sure she would have lost her mind over that. Yeah, you should not. You should never watch it. Never.
I am abstaining from any discussion on cuties because I see validation in both sides, and I'm also not a parent. So I'm not a parent, and so I don't have that perspective. I have seen arguments from parents of color who.
My wife just said anybody that ever watches that shit, your ass is going on a list. They're gonna be watching your ass.
I don't know anything about it.
It's pornography. It's strictly pornography. It's exploitation, sexualization of a little girl or many little girls. You shouldn't. Yeah,
she's abstaining.
Okay,
but no, I mean, essentially, Fox. It's a beautiful story, but they tell it in a terrible. They tell it in a terrible way. I think the original French, the way I had the original French situation explained to me, it was a beautiful story.
Oh, well, if you have the original French, I actually speak French, so.
Parlez-vous français?
Oui, je parle français depuis 10 ans.
Oui.
I agree with you, Manic Hispanic. My brow just furrowed, too. I need subtitles. We went from football to France. Holy shit.
I've been to France, so.
Okay, y'all.
But they do not have, like, American football.
Real quick, though, I do have something I want to go back to and get your opinion on, Fox. And I'm going to play the video for you again, but I want to talk to you about the...
I already know this video. I see you're talking about them blocking the hospital and
yes.
the cops getting shot.
Well, the two different situations. The cops were already in the in the hospital when they blocked it. They were shot earlier in the day. Then the protesters went and blocked the hospital and started chanting, fuck them, let them die, and shit like that. I do have to ask, because I do not feel like that is... I knew this was coming, damn it. But no, I feel like that's not cool to wish death upon anybody. I understand the situation, but there's a time and place for everything, too.
Here's my position. You have cops that are beating medics, and when I say medics, people want to be like, oh, those medics aren't like licensed medics. Actually, most medics that have been in the protests have been nurses, have been EMTs, have been CNAs, sometimes even doctors. So you have licensed medical professionals at protests, rendering aid to people. The guy who got shot in Portland, who ended up being a member of like a far right group or whatever, a nurse tried to render aid to him, and cops pushed her out of the way and let him die. And you see this all the time. I personally witnessed this in Little Rock, where cops were targeting medics with the tear gas canisters, shooting us in the head, beating us, arresting us for doing nothing more than literally making sure people don't die.
Right.
So while I don't know how I feel about screaming, "Let those bastards die," I also don't give a fuck if they do.
Well, my thing is this, right, and I can understand, I expected that response.
Murdering people, and now I'm personally not for the death penalty, but I'm going to use the argument that a lot of Blue Lives Matter people use, and that, well, if you don't want to get shot, then maybe you shouldn't do anything to get shot over, or maybe you shouldn't be committing crimes, or maybe you shouldn't be doing this. Well, if you don't want to get shot, maybe you shouldn't be a cop. Like you're out here murdering people, and you're out here brutalizing people, and you're out at some
Not all
point,
police are out there murdering people, so now you're generalizing everybody, which is
That is true.
Right thing.
That is true. That is true. In this case,
how the entire system is corrupt, because
in this case, I don't know if you've seen the video of the young man who did it, but essentially what he did was he literally walked up to the police and to a parked police car and just opened fire. Just literally walked up to him and opened fire.
Man, those no-knock warrants are a bitch, aren't they?
I think
I don't know that, I would never just run up and just start shooting somebody. I would never
Why not? You advocate it.
I wouldn't do that, but at some point, well, okay, let's back this up. So I believe that the entire institution of policing, Jane Smith may not be a bad person. She may be a good person who's going to go to heaven someday and loves everybody or whatever. That's irrelevant. The institution of policing is inherently immoral. Modern policing, as it is practiced today in America, and I mean, I only know it in the context of America. We could probably do a cross analysis to other Western countries. But as it is practiced today in America, originated during the slave patrols and the night watchmen of the early 1830s. So if you look at when these police forces are established, I believe Little Rock Police Department was established in 1837. They were slave patrols. So you have an institution that was literally founded on capturing runaway slaves. Even in the North, the night watchmen operated in solidarity most of the time with slave patrols of the South. So this is the foundation this entire institution is built on. Then, during Jim Crow and all of the shitty shit that came to follow, you have a lot of infiltration from white supremacy groups like the KKK. That you have the Fraternal Order of the Police, which there have been many studies done that show the Fraternal Order of the Police has lots of ties to supremacy groups like the KKK. Here in Arkansas, FOP has ties to Shield Wall Network, the Highwaymen, all these different supremacy groups. So even if a single individual like Jane Smith as a person, when she takes off her badge and lays down her head at night, she may be a good Christian woman who cooks wonderful meals for her family or what the fuck ever, but her job is fundamentally bad. And I think that at some point, people are going to be sick of being murdered, of being arrested on bullshit charges, of being targeted, of being brutalized and beaten and accosted. Revolutions, I mean, and this is my personal opinion, revolutions are not nice. They're not pretty. I don't know of a single and we could argue what a successful revolution is like. But none of the when we talk about revolutions, I don't know of any revolution, as most people understand revolution, that has ever come about without bloodshed.
So my thing is this, though, Fox. the reason why I find this deplorable, the way that, number one, the protesters acted, in support, and once again, like me and Antonio and Sean all three said when we talked about this topic, you could have stood across the street. You didn't necessarily have to stand on the hospital. But as far as the gentleman who actually shot the cop, my feelings is this: you can't defend one action and abstain another. You can't say that we don't want cops out there playing judge, jury, and executioner, and then say it's okay for this young man to play judge, jury, and executioner.
I mean, I'm of the opinion that fighting back against your oppressor is a moral and righteous thing to do.
The question is, what was that person in that cop car doing to oppress him?
Being part of an oppressive system is oppressive. Like if you, let's back this up. So if a Nazi didn't actually take a Jew out of their home and physically put them on a train, were they not just as complicit as those who did?
Yeah, but cops aren't Nazis.
They're not. Look at Schindler.
Cops
How
aren't
many people
Nazis.
did Schindler get out of there? He was a Nazi.
Are we talking like when you say Schindler? Refresh my memory. Like
Schindler's List, the movie.
Oh, I've never fucking seen it, so.
Why not?
Oh, that's a great movie. That's a great movie. You need to watch that.
Yeah.
He's a Nazi.
He was a
who
Nazi.
actually spent his time and money to save Jewish people.
Yeah.
Well, but like, was he operating?
Yes,
like,
he was a
within
Nazi.
the system as like a double agent, or
Yes.
was he like? Okay, that's different than like I'm talking about things like the Nuremberg trials, where they were like, "Oh, we were just doing our job, man. We were."
Schindler
just doing
wasn't
our job.
really a double agent.
He wasn't. He was a legitimate Nazi who had to change the
what they
heart.
were doing.
Right.
Well, I mean, he could have just as easily.
I believe what was going on was right. And there's a bunch of police that don't believe what others do is right.
I completely agree with that statement.
There isn't an entire collective of police officers committing genocide against the black race. That's not happening in America. What we have is systematic racism where a few bad cops are committing racial crimes against black Americans in this country, and we need to stop that. But it's not a genocide. Okay, we need to.
It's not.
You can't compare Nazis to cops in America. That's really going too far.
I mean,
That does
I
seem
would
like a
argue that mass incarceration of people in color is a form of genocide.
Mass incarceration isn't killing them. Genocide means
I mean,
death.
they're dying in prison, so.
Some are.
I
but
can
not
die
all of them.
tomorrow stepping
Genocide
out
is
into a
trying to-
vehicle.
I mean, you're talking 6 million Jews that were killed during the genocide of the Jews, the Holocaust. Okay, we're not having 6 million African Americans killed every year. It's not happening.
We're comparing the idea that that someone can be part
Okay.
of the system and
Then we
still
can
be
argue
moral.
ideas all day long. You can
Like-
say evil is an idea or evil is actually real. I say it's an idea. I don't think it's real.
I don't think you understand what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the comparison isn't in the actions taken by the Nazi regime. The comparison is that one oppressive system and another oppressive system. And can you be part of an oppressive system, regardless of what that system is? We don't, we can say which of the Koreas is like shitty. Is it North or is it South?
North.
Okay.
But you're
So
basically
here's a
saying that
different
there is
regime,
no
like
personal
any
growth from
authoritarian
individual, that once they put that uniform on, that's it, they're bad.
Right.
Yes, that's exactly like once you put
Not
the
all
Nazi
cops are
uniform
bad.
on, you are bad. Like it
Not
doesn't
all,
matter
no, not all cops are bad. Then
It
you're
does
saying
not
every
matter.
person that served in the military is bad because some people killed some children.
all day, every day. Fuck the cops. The whole system is bad. And the whole thing needs to be torn down. Community policing, 1,000%.
It doesn't need to be torn
Community
down.
policing is still going to lead to people being thrown into prison.
We can fix the system without killing people.
Like prisons are bullshit. Like fuck prisons too. Like no.
So where do you throw the people that break the law?
Yeah, where do you throw someone? Hold on, where do you throw someone that rapes and mutilates and murders a little child?
Like, there's actually a really good video which I will drop in the group chat later that actually talks about this. Like, what would the world look like if we didn't have police? What do we do with people who participate in what we call antisocial behaviors that are not able to be addressed without some show of force. Like there are people way smarter than me that have been doing research and work on that for years and years and years.
Yeah.
I'm totally down dropping those resources. But nah, like the whole system from like its basic roots. Like,
you can talk about ideas, and you can talk about philosophies, and you can talk about things that aren't a reality all day long. But if someone actually raped and murdered and mutilated a child, what do you do with that person that did that to someone? You're just going to let them go? You're just going to put them, oh, you're welcome to go out in society.
Well, I mean, are you asking like?
I'm asking you personally. What is your personal feelings about someone that mutilates and rapes a child?
Well, considering I am a survivor of child rape, I think that I have a pretty unique perspective on this. I would not want my rapist murdered. I would not want.
Really? I say put them to death, chop their fucking head off, and get rid of them, because there's no way to redeem a person.
I don't necessarily.
To a child.
I don't necessarily.
Death penalty.
I don't necessarily agree with Sean as far as the strength, but there should be something as far as prison time. Absolutely.
Well, if we're going to ask a question, allow her to answer. If you were running the states.
Well, I wouldn't run the states because I don't believe in hierarchy, but we'll play the game for the sake of the question. I believe in rehabilitation. I believe that the vast majority of problems that society faces are a result of lack of I could say mutual aid in general, but like mental health resources, access to food, like shelter. People commit crimes because they don't have their needs met. So I think the first step would be to meet people's needs.
So someone that raped a child that doesn't have their needs met.
Well, I would say that I would have to do some research on like the site. Like I'm sure there's psychological studies done on.
They're a sick fuck. They need to be killed.
Things of that nature.
Just out of curiosity, what does rehab look like for someone like that? Say Jeffrey Dahmer, for instance.
I don't know a lot about like Jeffrey Dahmer's psychological state. I honestly don't know a whole lot about.
Well, you're not going to know everybody's psychological state. All you need to know is he murdered, cooked, and ate people.
And rapes people.
How do you?
The first question that I would ask, I would look into his entire home life. Like, I do not believe that punishment is the way that we solve problems in society, period. Like, I just fundamentally don't believe that.
Well, we do need to rehabilitate people that can be rehabilitated. I would agree with you 100%. But some people are so far gone, so mentally ill, we just need to take them out.
So and that's I think where we draw, because I don't disagree that you're going to run into some individuals who cannot be rehabilitated, who have antisocial behaviors that just nothing will integrate them into society. Because I believe murderers can be rehabilitated. I believe rapists can be rehabilitated.
Some can.
I do believe these people can be rehabilitated. I think where we differ is that I don't think that their lack of rehabilitation means that they lose their humanity or that they lose their autonomy, because
I'm not saying that either.
If they are so far gone that they cannot be rehabilitated, then there's something in their genetic or psychological makeup that they are unable to control. And are we going to say that we're just going to murder people because of circumstances beyond their control? And I do not believe that.
There are some people.
So then you just allow them to roam the streets and continue what they're doing.
I mean, I never said we just let them roam the streets and let them like.
Well, you said you were against.
You don't go with incarceration though. You don't support incarceration.
So Thoughtslime does a video where he talks about this, about people who exhibit antisocial behaviors beyond like anything that could be rehabilitated. Like, yes, there should be some form of separating them from like the general populace of society. But when we talk about prison abolition, we're not talking about like not holding people accountable. We're saying locking you in like these shitty ass conditions behind fucking metal bars and like
Well, nobody's arguing that.
of your humanity and like stripping
Yeah,
you of any autonomy.
no,
Like,
nobody's argued that at all. What we're saying is that the worst of the worst, the serial killers, the people that prey on children, the people that cannot be redeemed or cannot be rehabilitated, they need to be taken out because they are a cancer to society. And,
Well, that's what you're saying,
cancers need to be cut out. But
I agree with you, Fox, in that the prisons need to be overhauled. They need to have better systems. They need to have better facilities. They need to have better.
After several generations, and I say several generations because when we're talking about what I'm talking about is changing the fundamental roots of society. So this is a several generation.
Hundreds of years. Hundreds of years.
Huh?
It's going to take hundreds of years.
Right. Like we're talking, like I envision a world where eventually over time, just the meeting of people's needs, and we'll just get to a point where the vast majority of that won't even happen because we have eliminated the problems that cause those things to happen in the first place.
That utopia that we all want can't happen for at least 500 or 600 years because we'll probably kill ourselves before then.
I'm not. I hope you don't, Sean.
I hope we don't either, but I think we will.
Yeah. Sure.
I mean, look at Stephen Hawking. Stephen Hawking's actually said we had maybe 200 years left if we're lucky.
So, just my personal opinion. Have y'all ever seen what a dementia, like what some of the dementia or Alzheimer's wards look like in some facilities where it's like these individual little homes that, well, they look like homes, but they're not homes. They're actually like, they're in like facilities or like, that's what, when I think of like, what I would envision a space to be for these people who are just truly, truly antisocial. Like I think of something like that. Like you still have access to food. You still have access to the things that you need to survive. Sure, maybe like you have access to art. You have access to human interaction through like the people that work in this facility. And I don't necessarily personally believe that there would not be an armed guard of some sort in these facilities. I just don't think that we should just en masse murder people because of.
Well, we're not talking mass murder. We're not talking mass murder. There have been actual documented cases of rapists that have been what's the word when you castrated that still continue to rape people because it's about power and control. It has nothing about sexual gratification. So there's a sickness in their mind. That person needs to be put down. That
or
person,
they need like mental health care, like,
or they need to be put down because they cannot get past that type of urge that they need to do to control, rape, and kill people. There are some people out there that just need to be put down. I mean, nature is that way. It's chaotic and it's cruel, but sometimes that's what has to happen, and we need to live in reality and actually face that. We can't baby and coddle everybody.
Where we have compassion and
I have compassion for people that have bad circumstances, that maybe they murdered someone, maybe they robbed a bank, maybe they robbed a convenience store or something like that. Maybe they got hooked on drugs. But when you're predatory and you rape and kill women and children and different things like that, you're a serial killer. There's no hope for that. You can't come back from certain things.
I just fundamentally disagree. Like I don't know that there's anything other than I think we have a fundamental difference in how far you and I think a person has to go before they're not able to be rehabilitated, and I just don't know that we're ever gonna meet in the middle on that. Like,
probably not.
Don't agree.
Okay, y'all. I guess we won't meet in the middle, so we'll go ahead and go to our final topic of the week. We got about a few minutes left, so we'll go ahead and do our American Idiot of the Week. Sean, since you're at the top left, we'll go ahead and start with you.
My American Idiots of the Week are the conservatives that are attacking Netflix right now, wanting the cancel culture to cancel everything. I get it. That film is bad and it should be taken off the air. But what about Pornhub? There is something right there that exploits women. They have sex trafficking. They exploit children. and nothing's done about it. And there's not one fucking conservative in this country that has actually said anything against Pornhub in this country to this date. So the conservatives are the assholes for the week for that hypocrisy right there.
Okay. Mine is the South Dakota Attorney General who hit a human being and thought he hit a deer. Didn't even go back to check or anything, just said, fuck it, it's a deer. Kept driving. Antonio?
My American idiot of the week is Joe Biden.
Oh, okay.
I figured it was me.
That he wants the Obama-Biden administration to get reelected. And if it does, he started listing out all the things that the Obama-Biden administration was going to accomplish.
That's
Wow.
a pretty stupid thing to say.
Yeah. That's
How many
special.
years is he behind?
Right?
That's special.
Back in the DNC talks, when they were doing their deal, he actually said that he picked Kamala Harris because he was looking for somebody that was ready to come out and be president immediately. Be president, not vice president. He was looking for someone that was going to come out and be president immediately.
Well, I think that's a key aspect to look at whenever you choose a vice president is who, because you are always a heartbeat away from becoming the president of the United States.
Well, we know that Biden's going to shoot himself in the head as soon as he's elected, so Kamala can be the president. So, yeah, I mean, that's the plan.
Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Fox, who's your American idiot of the week?
Well, fucking Antonio took mine.
Damn.
Pick me.
Okay.
Pick me. Pick me.
I'm gonna say an idiot of the week is gonna be the fucking
These sports.
Well,
These sports owners.
No, the couple that started a fucking West Coast fire over a gender reveal.
Right. I can't believe it. Nobody chose that, but that's a good one.
I should have.
One. So I want to know.
Memes for it are fantastic.
Oh my God, you've got to share these. I haven't seen any memes yet. Hold up, I haven't seen any memes because I was just about to ask, how the fuck does that happen?
Like, there's the Avatar: The Last Airbender memes where they're talking about the Fire Nation attacking. A gender has been revealed this day. Like, it's so funny.
Oh
That's
my
awesome.
God, I need these in my life.
question is, what was the gender?
I don't
Nobody
know.
knows.
Good point.
No one knows.
I don't know.
Apparently it was orange. It's a Donald.
It was so awesome that nobody will ever know.
But no, like, what type of pyrotechnics bullshit did they set off to freaking reveal this baby's gender to start a fucking wildfire?
Right? They went down to Tijuana and got some M80s and shit. Right?
I mean, that's the type of shit that they were yelling back up, Terry.
What?
Shit.
These are like, y'all live on the West Coast. Like, you know that it's wildfire season. Like, period.
Right?
That was just
Don't do this shit.
That was
Just stop.
dumb. That's like doing that shit in Australia during bushfire season. Like, y'all dumb as fuck.
I would say that's Darwinism at its finest, but it's really not, because they're not hurting themselves. They're hurting the poor fucking people who's getting their shit burned up.
How many old people are dying right now because of fucking lung damage and shit like that?
Yeah.
Hold up. Is Sean supporting boomers?
No. No. Don't get me wrong. I was just asking the question, how many are dying? I'm actually in support of it.
I know someone who's out in Tucson right now. Like, that's not even West Coast, and even they are having air quality issues.
Dude, New York City's already getting the
There's a lot of
smog from
old
over
people
there.
in Tucson.
That's wild.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Wait, how is
Once
New
it
York
gets down to
City
Florida,
getting
I'll
air
really start being
I'll
happy.
send you the story. I'll send you the story, Fox. I read it on, but yeah.
Crazy.
Damn it. Well, y'all.
Just say it.
You did.
You by far got the best fucking one.
Fucking gender reveal bullshit.
You know, for however long we've done this, though, we haven't done one that's a man from Florida.
I mean, I think there's just the general accepted consensus that Florida sucks, though.
They do. I mean, what happened with that whole zombie thing where they were eating each other? I thought that was going to be the new pandemic. We were going to have The Walking Dead.
Oh my god.
What fucking happened with that? Where's my zombies? Come on, man.
Florida's just. I am getting really jealous at seeing all the TikToks of like people at Disney and like it's not crowded. And,
TikTok?
Oh, you're old.
I don't. Yeah, I don't know anything about TikTok. Yeah, they say it's Chinese. The Chinese are going to kill us with TikTok.
No, you young people are just organizing protests on TikTok. That's the issue. Like, that's the problem. But yeah, there's a lot of TikToker like travel people, like travel bloggers on TikTok, are like taking videos at Disney, and like you're seeing like I've never been to Disney, but anytime I see a video of someone at Disney, that shit's packed as fuck. Like, looks miserable as shit to go, and like they're enforcing social distancing and like cap limits on how many people are allowed in the park and stuff like that. And so it's just nice that people are just walking around and you can see everything. And I'm just like,
I mean, before all this happened, I mean, a few years ago, I was able to go to Disneyland, and yeah, it's crowded and shit, but you just avoid the crowds. You kind of go where they're not, and you ride all the shit that sucks until the crowds go away. Then you can go ride Indiana Jones and Space Mountain and all that other stuff.
I'm not even like a rides person. I get so motion sick. I'm a theater person, so I'm like really interested in like the attraction.
There's not a lot of theater there.
Well, I mean, they have shows, but they also like the characters, like just the act of like immersion into like these different spaces.
Yeah, I used to like to catch them smoking behind the fences and stuff. That was always the thing.
The magic of Disney for me, please and thank you.
Smoking in the boys' room.
Right.
Listen, I maybe it's 28, but I am forever 12. So don't ruin Disney for me.
I'm sorry. I saw Mickey with a crack pipe. I'm sorry about that.
Jesus.
Stop, not my Mickey.
On that note,
Steamboat Willie was smoking some crack. It was great.
On that freaking note, while we're talking about Mickey Mouse smoking crack, we're about 6 minutes over, so we're going to go ahead and end it here. Y'all stick around. I'm going to talk to y'all here in a second. Give me a second.